All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim. We're with you until 6 p.m. today. And as Jim just said in his update, we have a premier giveaway because we have SDFC tickets to give away for this Saturday. So just about 48 hours from now, San Diego FC and Sporting Kansas City, we have tickets to give away for that. So the way to win those tickets is to be listening for the SDFC sounder. You'll hear a goal call from Adrian Garcia Marquez. When you hear that, call 877-767-4760. We'll qualify someone every hour, and in the 5 o'clock hour around 5:30, we will announce a winner. So that is the way to do it. You'll hear a goal sounder at some point every hour, and at 5:30, roughly, we'll announce the winner of those SDFC tickets, a pair of tickets for Saturday night.
Just a heads up for our viewers on our stream. Yes, we know we sound like helium. We have no idea why. This place can never get anything right, so we're hopefully getting it fixed, and we'll see if we can stop sounding like helium coming up later. But in the meantime, if you're watching us on YouTube, I guess whatever, dude.
We could maybe just like delete the stream.
We delete the channel.
We could do that too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only like 2 people watching on YouTube.
Yeah, who cares? Anyway, not to bury the lead, we do have, as you said, San Diego FC tickets. So as you said, make sure you're listening for the sounder for that. And we'll be giving away those later in the show. These are good tickets for Saturday night. And so, yeah.
San Diego FC winning yesterday, as Jim said in the update. Second place in the Western Conference. Sporting Kansas City, just 3 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws. So an
and they bounced back and they won back-to-back games. Randy Vasquez was very good. So was the bullpen that you jinxed, and the Padres won game 3 and they won that series.
They're playing really good baseball. When you think about it, the 2 games on Sunday and Monday, I know we're trying to do a show here. On Sunday and Monday, they were not good games. They lost those games. They did not play well. But if you look at what they've done over the last 2 weeks here, they've won series after series after series, except for the Yankees game. Like, except for that Yankees series, they've played really good baseball. And the name of the game is winning series. So they took care of business against the Angels, won the series. It wasn't like the prettiest series ever. You know, Monday night was awful. Tuesday night, the bullpen again, gave up the lead, but Fernando Tatis Jr. hit the walk-off. And last night, right, you get the 3-run homer right away from Xander Bogaerts and taken 2-3. Like, that's the name of the game. And they are, when you look at the totality of the last couple series here, the last couple weeks, after, right after, the 3-8 stretch, they played really good baseball.
They've absolutely played really well since going 3-8. I mean, there's just so many places you could turn here. I mean, whether it's Randy Vasquez last night. I mean, we did a Manny Machado appreciation yesterday, and he followed it up by going 2 for 2 with 2 walks yesterday. He's among the hottest hitters in the sport right now. Now, Jim jinxed Jackson Merrill a couple days ago. I bought a Jackson Merrill card, so of course he's gone 0 for 4 now.
Oh yeah, he looks like me and you out there,
right? And Toddy yesterday was hitless, but again hit that walk off in game 2 of the series. But they're 16-5 at home. They're 27-15 overall. The premise of the show on YouTube, we put like in the lead or the headline, like, is this baseball's best team as they get healthy? They're going to add Yu Darvish. He made his rehab appearance yesterday. We'll see when he comes back, but it could be in 5 days when he returns. They've added Merrill, Arise, Cronenworth back. Not a finished product. We could talk about Jason Hayward as we did yesterday, but is this baseball's best team? By record, they're not, as we sit here technically right now. But could this be baseball's best team at this point or moving forward? I think it's at least something to consider. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. It's like a power ranking. What does it mean to be the best team right on May 15th? But 27-15, Jim, I mean, they've done some serious work to start this year.
Absolutely. That 3-8 stretch was not fun. But like I said, right after that, sweep the Giants in a quick 2-game series. There's 1 series win. Sweep the Pirates. There's another series win. Beat the Colorado Rockies 2 out of 3. That's a series win. Beat the Angels 2 out of 3. So 4 of their last 5 series they have won. And I mean, when everything is clicking for them, when they're fully healthy and they're playing like this, I don't think it's out of the realm of I don't think it's, bad to say that they could be one of the best teams, or they are one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it has a jinxy quality to it, because you just never know, and it's kind of a power ranking thing. But in the moment, I mean, the one thing to consider with the Dodgers, and I think a lot of our listeners are aware, is that they're dealing with more injuries than the Padres have dealt with. Like, injuries are a big story for the LA Dodgers. Then you look at the New York Mets. I mean, are they really going to be this team all year? They've gotten off to a great start like the Padres, but that's up for debate. So at least in the National League, I mean, you look around, most people would consider the Dodgers to be the front runner in the National League. I think we had Dan Szymborski on the other day this week, and Dan still has over at Fangraphs the Dodgers with an 80% chance of winning the division. But a year ago, it was over 90% coming into the year. So it's at least feasible that someone else can win the division. You look around the American League. I mean, are the Detroit Tigers better than the San Diego Padres, for example? Maybe. Did they take 2 out of 3? Did the Tigers take 2 out of 3 from the Padres? They did, didn't they?
Tigers are one of the best teams in baseball. One of the best teams in the American League.
Did they take 2 out of 3 from America? Yeah, so they've been one of the best teams. But again, it's not that crazy to say that on this 15th day of May, heading into this inaugural Vetter Cup, that the Padres are right there with the rest of baseball. And again, I think they've got a formula. A really good bullpen. Yeah, it wasn't great for 7 or 8 days. A good rotation getting better with Darvish, and a good enough lineup that's conducive to Petco Park. I like this team a lot. I don't know if they're the best team in baseball, but I like this team a lot.
I like this team a lot as well. I think that they have all their roles, and we'll talk about some roles that might change. And one of the players last night that got an opportunity came through big.
Yep.
You might see him more out there. But everybody's roles on this team, you like. And they're pitching, going to get you Darvish back here soon. It just is only going to get better. And with the top 3 that they have, Pivetta, King, and Cease, they are a dangerous team. They are a team that I feel confident that they're going to continue to play good baseball. Like, I don't feel like this is fool's gold. I don't feel like this is, just a hot start that eventually will end up being just an average season.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they have the pieces, if they stay healthy, to do something really special this year.
You talked about this last night. I mean, the most amazing part of what's played out here recently is Xander Bogaerts has been producing runs at a high clip. He hasn't been hitting for a high average, but then again, we've been saying we don't need the vintage Bogaerts 33 home run Boston year. He's not going to be that player. But in his last 15 games, he's had 15 RBIs. That's unbelievable.
That's
for a guy that had
number.
He had a 15-game stretch with 0 RBIs before that. He hit a 3-run home run yesterday that was the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, he hit it early, the 3-run home run, then Randy Vasquez in the bullpen do the rest of the work. Again, I don't think Xander's ever going to be the player that he was in the American League, but if he's this player, contributing, being impactful, I'll sign up for it. Like, if he's going to come through in meaningful ways throughout the course of the season and drive in more runs than he's ever driven in as a San Diego Padre, I'll sign up for that, even if he hits 256. Which is, I don't even know if he will hit 256, truthfully.
But if he did hit 256 with like 85 RBIs, you would take that in a second, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I would.
Because he's producing. And 15 RBIs in his last 15 games, that's a huge number for Xander. And this guy struggled to drive in runs in a Padres uniform.
Mm-hmm.
First year, he did all of his damage in September. But going into September, he had 40-something RBIs?
Yeah, I think that's probably right, if that.
And last year he missed a bunch of time and he only had 40-something RBIs for the entire year. And he was hitting 5th.
Right.
So if he's going to continue to hit 5th in the lineup, hitting 250, so be it. But you got to drive in runs, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the job done. And he got the job done last night. And he's been getting the job done. And I'm not looking at Xander's average or how many home runs does he have. I'm specifically looking at, is he driving in runs? Because that has been something that has not been able to do here in a Padres uniform. And when you're hitting 5th in the lineup, you're expected to drive in runs, especially with the top 4 they have here with Toddy, Arise, Manny, and Merrill.
How about this? Xander coming into the year had played 266 games as a Padre. 266. He had missed some time, right, due to injury, specifically last year.
Yeah.
He had driven in 102 runs in 266 games, batting in the middle of their lineup. For perspective or by comparison, in 2018 with the Red Sox, he drove in 103 in 136 games. In 2019 with the Red Sox, he drove in 117 in 155 games. He's played 266 games the last 2 years and only driven in 102 runs. That's why I'm on board with what you said. If he drives in 85 this year, that's such an uptick.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be the 110 RBI guy he was 5 years ago in Boston. So we have to take the 85 RBI guy because otherwise he might be the 50 RBI guy we've seen the last 2 years in San Diego.
And you can't have that. You can't have the 50 RBI guy while continuing to hit fifth in the lineup. You just can't do it.
Right.
The home runs, he'll never be a 25 home run guy again, I think. And this unless he gets
I don't see
one year where he just I don't know, but so far this season, with 9 doubles,
yeah,
and it's a good pace.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets over 30 doubles,
right,
12 homers, 80. I don't know. You made a face there, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 3 already.
No, I'm saying it's kind of low. I mean, it's not low. It's what I expect.
I'm giving a low number to illustrate, like, if he were to only hit 12 home runs this season, but he had 35 doubles and 88 RBIs, like you take that. I think that's a good season from Xander if the team wins and if he's still hitting in that middle of the lineup.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll talk more about last night and what it might mean moving forward for the Padres, something specifically in terms of their lineup as they get ready for the Mariners. Plus, be listening for that sounder from Adrian Garcia Marquez. When you hear that goal sounder for San Diego FC, call 877-767-4760. We're qualifying someone every hour. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. We'll announce a winner of a pair of tickets for Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium to see SDFC. We'll announce that at 5:30. Don't go anywhere. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Ryan Harrington, Golf Digest. He will join us coming up at 2:30. We'll talk about day one of the PGA Championship, Quail Hollow outside Charlotte. He'll join us coming up in about 10 minutes. Cynthia Freeland on the release of the NFL schedule, her thoughts now that we've seen it on paper and more with the NFL, obviously in its offseason. Cynthia from the NFL Network will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Also be listening for that sounder when you hear it. Make sure to call 877-767-4760. We'll qualify a listener every hour, and then one of our qualifiers will announce the winner of those 2 tickets for Saturday night coming up at 5:30.
Yes.
So we will do that. Last night, we touched on this before the game because we found it interesting. Jason Hayward was essentially replaced by Brandon Lockridge last night. He should have been in there the way they had played it the first quarter of the year. In that platoon, it would have been Hayward, but they elected to go with Brandon Lockridge. Last night, he paid dividends. He came through with 2 outs late in the game, gave the Padres insurance, and now your mind begins to wander. What does it mean for Hayward moving forward, and what does it mean for Lockridge moving forward after he got that opportunity and took advantage of it last night?
It was interesting what Kevin said yesterday with us, that Hayward wasn't in the lineup for other reasons that could have been health related.
Like, not to make excuses, but they've been battling. Like, there's the bug that's been going around the clubhouse.
And he said, well, maybe it is also has to do with like his struggles at the plate too. Like, it could be both. It could be a combination, but don't read it as like it's 100% this or that.
Right.
But when other guys are given opportunities and they come through, guess what? You're going to get Wally pipped. And I'm not saying that Jason Hayward's like a Wally Pipp type of, because he's not played well this year.
He's
been
already
awful.
susceptible. Like Merrill, there's no Wally Pipp. Tatis, there's no Wally Pipp. Hayward, there's a Wally Pipp.
Oh, there is for sure.
You have 2 hits in back-to-back games. You're going to get a third game because Hayward hasn't done anything.
Yep. So Brandon Lockridge earned himself more playing time last night.
I agree.
With that hit there late in the game to drive in 2.
Right.
And we said it yesterday on the show. They probably are already thinking about replacements for Jason Hayward, but they don't have anybody in the system right now to fully replace him. So this is a clear Band-Aid situation.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever steps up, guess what? That person's going to get playing time. And I would put Brandon Lockridge along with Tyler Wade out there in left field. And if you want to use Jason Hayward as like a defensive replacement, okay. But guess what? Brandon Lockridge and Tyler Wade, I feel like, are just as good defensively.
AJ Preller is such a tinkerer that if we really do get to the trade deadline and they're just not getting what they need out of left, he will upgrade. I mean, he has found ways to do that even when his system isn't ripe. And even if he's got the number 1 system, he can do it. If he's got the number 30 system, he can do it. He'll find a way to upgrade that position if it's necessary. If that's truly a missing piece or the missing piece, he's going to do it. I mean, this guy goes all in, right? I like Soto. 2020 turned over a third of his roster at the deadline. Like, this guy will go all in at deadlines. He's not scared to do that. And I respect it and I appreciate it with all these players in their prime. I bet he'll do it again. If they're in position in July and they need those upgrades, he's going to do something hopefully compelling to what he believes put them maybe over the top.
I haven't done like the deep dive on outfielders that potentially can move to the deadline.
Right.
But I do know one player that we just saw here who had a couple home runs that would fill in and I think be an upgrade absolutely right now. And that's
Taylor Ward.
Taylor Ward. Last night he had a home run. On Monday he hit that grand slam. His average is nothing special, but he's got 10 homers and 22 RBIs in the season.
Yeah, I would say you're right. I mean, he hasn't hit 200. If you look at his baseball reference page, because I did it last night, it's actually a negative WAR somehow. But with all that being said, I'll take the guy that can run into a ball because the Padres don't really have that. Like, that's an area that is actually less to do with Hayward and more to do with the team. We both think it's coming. We think Machado is going to have that stretch where he hits 20 home runs in 80 games, which he's done before. But they are lacking in the power department. Even the home run yesterday, again, you're not expecting it from Xander Bogaerts, right? It's like the perfect situation when it occurs. Tatis has gotten his, but who's the second leading home run hitter? Is it Jackson Merrill with 4? On the team, it's Toddy 11.
Tatis has 11.
Merrill, small sample size 4, and then everyone else has 3 or less.
Yeah,
that's not. I mean, that's again. I don't know. It doesn't mean you can't win a World Series that way. It just means like you certainly could use more power.
I just think that Taylor Ward's a guy that You get for the cheap.
Yep. Yeah,
You
definitely get for the
You're
cheap.
not giving up a top prospect for this guy.
Good point.
He is under control through next season. If you look at his numbers the last 4 years here, he's got some pop. Last year, he hit 25 home runs, 75 RBIs. 2023, he hit 14 home runs. 2022, he hit 23 home runs.
Yeah,
and this year, he's on pace for damn near 30 home runs.
Yeah, if not more.
So the average is never going to be something that's going to pop off the page. But honestly, if you look at his last 4 years, not this year, I mean, he's in 186 this season, but last year he hit 246.
Right.
2023, he hit 253. In 2022, he hit 281.
And he's under control for how long?
Until next season, through next season.
So through next season, he's only making
$7 million.
$7 million. And he's out of California, by the way. So kind of a local kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting, intriguing. And there'll be so many names.
There'll be
so many names.
This is just on the top of my head because we just saw him and he is a position of need and he did play well this series. He had a couple big home runs and like he brings pop. And that's what's missing from your left fielder. Like, how many home runs has the left field position hit this year? Jason Hayward has 2.
Hayward has 1 or 2.
I think that's it.
And that's got to be the extent of it. Yeah, not a big number. And it's not just Hayward, I would say, in the power department. But yeah, he's hit 2 home runs in 75 at bats this year. All right, Ryan Harrington's going to join us. He's not at Quail Hollow, but he's covering the PGA Championship for Golf Digest. He'll join us on the other side. Round 1 of the PGA Championship is underway. And again, be listening for that sounder when you hear the goal sounder from Adrian Garcia Marquez. Call 877-767-4760, and you'll be qualified for a chance to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. Stay with us, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. We'll start with the Padres. They beat the Angels last night 5-1. They won the series. They have an off day today before they start the Vetter Cup tomorrow at Petco Park against the Seattle Mariners. SDFC picked up 3 more points last night with a 2-0 win. Next up, they'll take on Kansas City Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff time there. And the PGA Championship is underway. Looking at the leaderboard, Cam Davis leads the tournament at 6 under par. And just a reminder, we have PGA Championship coverage each night of the tournament at 10 p.m. It gives you an update on the day's action. And this weekend, you can hear live coverage of rounds 3 and 4 starting at 11 a.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell as the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Be listening for that sounder and call 877-767-4760 when you hear it to qualify to win those SDFC tickets or qualify for a chance to win those SDFC tickets. All right, let's turn our attention to Quail Hollow. Ryan Harrington covering, of course, golf for Golf Digest. Back with us right now on Jon and Jim. And Ryan, we appreciate you taking time for us here in San Diego. So what happened here on the 16th? This was kind of, you don't see this every day when you have Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele all playing together, all double bogeying the 16th today at Quail Hollow. Kind of a unique thing you weren't necessarily expecting to kick off the PGA Championship, right?
No, not at all. Although that said, the 16th hole is the start of what they call the Green Mile at Quail Hollow, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, which is a notoriously difficult finishing stretch. This golf course is the one that hosts the PGA Tour event every year, and those 3 holes annually are among the toughest on tour. But to see the top 3 players in the world all make a couple bogeys on them, that was definitely a surprise for many.
What do you make of the top of the leaderboard? A lot of names here that maybe to some, casual golf fans are unrecognizable. What do you make of the top of the leaderboard here at the PGA Championship on day one?
Yeah, it blows me away, quite frankly, because obviously all the talk coming into this week was about a Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, all the big name players, all playing playing their way into great form coming into this event, and all actually having some success at this golf course in the past. So you presumed, obviously, that it was going to be the marquee players who were going to be the ones on the leaderboard after day one. And lo and behold, like you said, I mean, these are a bunch of journeymen, kind of some no names and whatnot in the lead. And I'm really surprised, particularly even given the fact that there was so much rain earlier this week. This golf course is playing extra long, and that would seemingly go, like I said, right into the hands of a Rory or a Bryson or whatnot. And so I can't really make it out. Luke Donald, he's 2 off the lead right now. This is a guy who hasn't played more in a major in a few years. He only hit 9 fairways, 9 greens, and yet he was able to shoot a 67. So kind of a crazy day out there, and I'm not sure what to make of it, quite frankly.
We touched on it, and Ryan Harrington, managing editor of Golf Digest, with us right now. We touched on Scotty Scheffler, who had that double bogey on the 16th, and I think he started on the back 9, but he recovered nicely for the day. He finishes 2 under with the 69. So, yeah, he's a handful of shots off the pace right now, but do you feel as if he's well-positioned considering how it started?
Yeah, all things considered, I mean, he was the bright spot of that super group that went out there. He was able to figure out how to get it back around. And like you said, 2 under par for his round, only 4 off the lead right now. I think he's in prime position to make a statement here and come back out and contend. And that said, Rory McIlroy, I think he's 3 over par. Not the round he was expecting, but has such a great track record at this golf course. He did it at the Masters where he had the horrible finish to that first round and was able to figure out, how to get around that and get himself back into contention. So I don't even take him out of the mix, but it's going to require obviously some pretty stronger play in the next few days. And so, I think we're going to see a regression to the mean. I think we're going to see those top players back in form the next few days. But the question is going to be, have they played themselves too far back to be able to catch up?
And you mentioned the rain. It was raining, all last week and leading up to the tournament here. Mentioning how the course is playing longer. How is it affecting like the top players like Scotty when, you get some mud balls there in the fairway?
Well, the mud balls have been something a lot of the players have talked about coming off the course today. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele both mentioned the fact that was probably the explanation for their balls in the water on the 16th hole and causing those double bogeys. And, it's interesting. There was a lot of conversation ahead of today on whether the PGA of America would decide to play the ball lift, clean, in place. So, as to let players, clean their balls if they were in the fairways and try to avoid some of those situations. It's a major championship, and traditionally you do not play the ball lift, clean, in place. You play it as it lies, just like golf's supposed to be played. Yep. And the PGA of America was roundly criticized for playing lift, clean, in place for the final round of their championship in 2016. Haven't done it since. So they boldly came out last night, or boldly only in that the statement kind of was defiantly saying we are not going to play it lift, clean, in place. We're going to play it down. And a lot of players have come out and said that they don't like that idea. A PGA Tour event, if this was a PGA Tour event and just a regular PGA Tour week, they definitely would have played lift, clean, in place today. They probably would do it tomorrow to avoid those situations. And so the players have to adjust, and some aren't appreciating the fact that they've got to do that, I think.
Good insight from Ryan Harrington, Golf Digest, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So it's been how long since Spieth has been trying to complete the Grand Slam at the PGA Championship? Close to a decade, maybe?
This is his 8th try. When Rory went ahead and finished it, it was his 11th try, and nobody had ever completed the Grand Slam after more than 3 before. So, the fact that Rory did it after 11 was kind of a historic marker there. And so, when you had to count, when you came back to Spieth here 8 times, that's a lot so far. I mean, obviously he was very young when he was able to get those first 3 here, and it's been a while since he performed that well in a major championship. But the conversation was a renewed one this week, given the fact, obviously, that Rory had accomplished it just last month.
And he hasn't really gotten close in his previous tries, right? I think he's got 1 top 10 in the PGA Championship over those years. Right now, he's 3 shots over par for his round. So that's going to be I mean, he apparently won't have an opportunity this week based on that start, but it's kind of interesting how his career has played out over the last 10 years after the start.
Yeah, I mean, he had such a tremendous 2015 season. He won the first 2 majors of the year, almost was in a playoff for the Open Championship that year, finished, I think, second at the PGA that year. And so he has this benchmark that he has to play himself against that's going to be almost difficult for him ever to pass. And so trying to compare himself to that player that he once was is pretty difficult. But to your point, in the PGA Championship, he struggled the last 2 years. And I don't know if that's a combination of just his game hasn't been quite as sharp as it ordinarily was, or as it had been in the past, or frankly, the pressure has kind of mounted. Obviously, I think there was an issue of pressure on Rory McIlroy going into the Masters. And you've got to think that now, with Spieth being kind of the next up on deck with this kind of a thing, that's going to be the case for him too. And the question is going to be, will he ever be able to break through that? And, I don't think his game was in such great shape this week to go, oh yeah, he's a clear favorite coming into this tournament. So I'm not necessarily surprised that this wasn't going to be the week he was going to accomplish it. But I think, like I said, the spotlight's now kind of back on him, so to speak, for this accomplishment. And it's now going to be a question, obviously, he faces every year when he comes to this championship.
What are some of the Ryder Cup implications this weekend at the PGA Championship?
Well, the points for this tournament for both the American points list and the European points list are significant. They're higher than at any regular PGA Tour event, so to speak, or any DP World Tour event. So the winner here is going to accrue a lot of points. The top 10 finish is going to do a lot. And so I think it's going to do a lot in terms of rejiggering the order and particularly on both sides of the pond for live golfers. Live golfers can't earn points on the live tour. They're not playing in PGA Tour events. They're not playing in DP World Tour events. There are not very many DP World Tour events. So this is one of the few opportunities where they can accumulate points. And a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, he's inside the top 6 on the American point list. But he's got to do well in a week like this to keep those points up, because he's not going to earn any more at a regular PGA Tour events. And so it's a big deal for him. Brooks Koepka, who was invited to Keegan Bradley's party for Ryder Cup hopefuls last week, here's a guy who's way out of the points list, and he didn't play well today at all. And so he's not going to be able to qualify. He's going to have to earn a captain's pick. And so it's a big deal for the live guys in particular. Same, like I said, on the European side, John Rahm, Sergio Garcia, Tyrrell Hatton. if they want to somehow make the team on points, they've got to play well in these major championships.
Ryan, why has there been so much criticism of this course? I saw Justin Thomas was critical. There are others that have been critical. Why has Quail Hollow been criticized for hosting a major championship?
Part of the reason is that this is a place that the tour comes to every year, and so there's a familiarity with it that makes it almost ordinary, for lack of a better term. This is a regular PGA Tour stop. So the impact of it being then at a major championship, you heard a few players going into the week going, the atmosphere here just isn't all that different. They don't feel like it's a major, so to speak. And I think from a course standpoint, there's definitely some people who contend it's almost too long a golf course, that there's only one way to play it. You hit your driver on every tee box and you hit it as far as you can. And there's not a lot of strategy, so to speak, in terms of how you play the golf course. You just have to bomb away. And I do think that that's something that, some of the guys here, think at a major championship, at least, there needs to be something more. There needs to be an intangible there that allows it to be something more than just a bomber's paradise. Now, like I said, today, there's actually a few of these guys on the leaderboard who you don't consider bombers, who were able to obviously make their way around the golf course. I think you've got to be accurate on a golf course like this week because of how long it is. If you're not in the fairway, it doesn't matter how far you hit it. You're going to be in some juicy rough, and it's going to be hard to play out of. And so the premium on distance is huge, but the premium on accuracy might be even bigger. And we'll see if that plays out this week or not. But I think that's where much of the criticism comes from.
Ryan, real quick before you go, because we've seen Torrey host multiple U.S. Opens, but the U.S. Open is booked through 2042. Will Torrey ever host another U.S. Open? And if it doesn't, would it consider getting into the PGA Championship possibilities?
Well, that's definitely what's happened to a few different golf courses. They've seen, like you said, the window of opportunities kind of shut on them in terms of the USGA. And I'm thinking of the Olympic Club up in San Francisco for you guys, because that's what's happening here. They got shut out of U.S. Open dates, and so they're going to be hosting the PGA Championship in a few years. And so I do think that's something that if Torrey really values and wants to get back onto the major championship road, the opportunities might be better if they do align themselves with the PGA Championship. And I think the PGA is very open to West Coast venues, given obviously the ability to show these events in prime time when they do that. So, it's a catch-22 for the USGA. They like to lock into these events now, or lock their events in terms of these venues, because they know then they've got a consistent rota. They can build infrastructure that allows them to host championships there and actually do it at a cost savings. But it also comes at the expense of going to a variety of different golf courses. And unfortunately, I think Torrey Pines kind of just gets lost in the mix because of that.
Great insight, Ryan. We appreciate you taking time for us. Enjoy this weekend watching the PGA Championship, and we'll do it again later on this summer.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, great stuff. Ryan Harrington with Golf Digest. All right, we can react to that. Plus, on the other side, Miles Byrd again at the NBA Combine, showing out. What does it mean for the Aztecs and his future? Plus, Colin Cowherd weighing in on the NFL schedule release. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
Chucky Lozano went chuk, boom!
All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We just qualified a listener for a chance to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. If you didn't qualify, be listening because we'll qualify another listener in the 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. hours, and then announce our winner of those tickets coming up at 5:30. So be listening, and when you hear that sounder, the Adrian Garcia Marquez goal call 877-767-4760. It has been a really good couple of days for Miles Byrd, Jim, the Aztec standout. Today, doubled down on what he did yesterday in the combine. Let me find it. This is such a Miles Byrd box score.
Like 13 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
That's Miles Byrd, right? Listen to this. 13 points on 4 of 9 shooting.
Okay, got that.
With 2 threes.
Got that, yeah.
4 assists.
Got that.
4 steals.
Got that.
3 blocks.
Yeah.
For Miles Byrd in 27 minutes, which was a game high. So I'm 4 rebounds, did I mention? He had 4 rebounds as well. Now his team lost today, but he's certainly improved his stock over the last 2 days. He's had a couple of really solid days overall. I mean, you look at the names here, Jim, of some of these players. These are college, like these are big name college stars that you see on national television constantly. Guys like Mark Sears at Alabama, PJ Haggerty at Memphis, Eric Dixon, he led the nation in scoring at Villanova, Hunter Salas, like some big competition. And Byrd has stood out, and now he's got, as we talked about yesterday, he's got that decision to make. But I think from the outside, I think a lot of Aztec fans, when I look at social media, you should see my replies. Everyone's like, he gone, bye-bye, right? Like that's kind of the reaction to what he's done over the last 2 days. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I don't know either. But the thing about his game is it's going to translate because the floor opens up in the NBA. It's not as compact as it is in college.
Right.
College, it's like,
Good point.
You know, it's compact. It's hard to get in the lane. It's, you know, in the NBA, it is so spread out.
Yeah, well, for the 3-point line, of course, is moved back, so you're creating more space.
Yep. So his game, his style, his size, his length, it's all going to play at the next level. Like I have no doubt about that. 6'8" with like a 7-foot wingspan.
Yeah, he's got a huge wingspan. Yeah,
it's going to play. My question now is like, do teams see him developed enough to spend a draft pick on him?
Right. Or do you wait? Well, let me ask you this.
You're like, oh, in a year, this kid's going to be really good.
Let me ask you this from the NBA perspective. Tell me, like, what do you do? Let's say I'm making it up. Okay. You're the Boston Celtics and you're picking 27th. And you say, I could take a player like this now and develop this player for a year, because a year from now when I'm Boston might not be a good example because of what's playing out right now. But a year from now, if I'm picking 27th again, he could be gone. So by getting him 27th now, I'm taking away the risk of him becoming a lottery pick next year. And now I can't get my hands on him anymore.
Yeah. And the tough thing with the NBA, especially if you're looking at the teams in like the 20s,
Yep.
You get drafted by one of these teams late in the first round, you're not playing.
No, you're going to be developed.
And you're going to the G League most likely. Or you're going to be sitting at the end of the bench.
Yeah, I would think G League for a young player like Miles would be better than sitting at the end of a bench.
Yeah, the thing in the NBA is, unless you're a top draft pick, you're not really playing much.
There's no guarantees.
And even if you are a top draft pick, sometimes
We've seen that.
you're not playing as much either.
You're right.
So the thing with Miles is, I see his game translating well to the NBA. Problem is, he's going to need to play. And that's how you develop. You just got to be on the court to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he gets drafted by a Boston Celtics or like Golden State Warriors, you're not playing much, if at all. And so it almost would benefit him if he went to a team like the Wizards, because he maybe could crack the lineup and get on the court and play some meaningful minutes in the NBA.
Right, like you're the first pick of the second round, and Washington is picked.
Go to Utah or something, right?
And now you have an opportunity.
Yeah, but that's all circumstance and happenstance, and so I think he still needs to work on some things. That's just like, after watching him this year, I think that he needs to work on some things, but that's not like a bad thing, because as I said, I fully believe that his game is going to translate to the NBA. He just, I think, has to work on some things before he gets there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I didn't watch today on ESPN Plus, but I did see someone said that, they talked about on the broadcast, if you return to San Diego State, you're returning to a place that develops players well.
And you're going to play a lot.
And they've proven they can get guys to play at a high level professionally. And yes, you're going to play. You're going to be a focal point. Here's what I would say, and I think I said this yesterday when we talked about it for 10 minutes. I just feel like he's in an amazing spot, Jim. Like, can you really go wrong? You got good options. There's NIL. So if you come back to college, you can earn and you can develop your game. If you get drafted 35th overall and you're guaranteed money for the next couple of years, I mean, those are some darn good options. Going back to a team that's expected to make a run in the NCAA tournament, or going to potentially get drafted by a team in the NBA, that's a pretty desirable spot to be in. Like, there's a lot of people that never have that opportunity. And that's something that Miles Bird and his family are probably going to be thinking about for the next 10 days.
Don't get me wrong. I want Miles Bird back next year. Like, I've already made that statement. I want him back at San Diego State.
Right.
If he doesn't return, will it be a bummer? Yeah, that's going to suck. Because was he in their leading scorer last year?
It was either him or Boyd at the end. I think they both averaged like 13 points. I'll look it up, right? Around 13 points a game.
He led the team in a lot of offensive
absolutely
categories.
Absolutely.
And
of course,
he had some big games for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But if he does leave, this team next year is already on paper loaded.
Right.
And guys are going to step into those roles, or step into his role. And what did he average last year?
It was Nick Boyd who averaged 13.4 points. He averaged 12.3 points per game.
Because he definitely kind of tailed off at the end of the season.
Yeah, he did.
But at one point in the year, he was averaging almost 14 points a game.
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
The end of his season was kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. It was kind of disappointing.
Right. And one of the questions he needs to answer, and again, he showed it in the combine, but for the year, he shot 30% from three at the college level, right? And in the NBA, like, you're seeing some of these, like, people are saying, hey, he's going to be a 3-and-D guy because he's long, so he can shoot over top and he can defend. Mm-hmm. And he's a really good defender, right? But obviously, he's going to have an uptick in his 3-point percentage, which he has shown at the combine. Plus, I don't know if he was fully healthy a year ago. Plus, he's young. Mm-hmm. He didn't play as a freshman. They go to the national championship. As a sophomore, it's a loaded team with guys like Lamont Butler and Darion Trammell.
Yep.
He's a role player and a good one. Last year is his first year as the go-to guy. his first year at San Diego State as the go-to guy. As in, a lot's been on his plate so far. So he's, to everyone's point, including yours, he's going to continue to improve. No matter where he goes, whether it's the NBA or college, he's going to continue to improve because I feel like he's not scratching the surface, but he hasn't played a lot as of yet.
With Miles Bird back at San Diego State, the ceiling for the Aztecs just gets higher. Without Miles Bird back, their ceiling is still pretty high. It's not as high as if Miles Bird was on the team next year, but it's still expectations of like Mountain West Conference regular season title, Mountain West tournament title, NCAA tournament, and make a run in the tournament.
Right.
Because Reese Waters is coming back. Magoon Guath is coming back, even though he had surgery on his knee, but he's expected to be ready for the start of the season. Guys like Taj DeGorville, Farrell Compton, they're only going to get better. They talked to Mark Ziegler about like their off-season diet.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy what happens when you cut out soda. Must be nice.
I know. I've been drinking.
Yeah, drinking
soda every day.
Yeah.
But we're not trying to play in the NBA in our future.
No. Miles Heide, their transfers they brought in. Their freshmen that they're bringing in. What's his name? Herring.
You got Tay Simmons. You have LZ Harrington.
LZ Harrington. Some of the highest recruited players in Aztec history.
Yeah, out of high school. Yeah.
And so I know we did the deep dive a couple weeks ago. It's like they're 12 deep, maybe 13 deep. So missing Miles Bird, that's going to be a bummer if he does declare for the draft. But they also are a deep team that can withstand a potential loss of Miles Bird.
It's almost as if they prepared for this by adding a player, a scorer on the wing like Latrell Davis from San Jose State, who's such a good scorer. It's almost like they've prepared for this as a possibility. All right, we're going to get back to the Padres on the other side. Plus, be listening for that sounder when you hear it. Make sure to call 877-767-4760 to qualify for a chance to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. Also coming up today, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, will join us at 5 p.m. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Padres winning another series as they beat the Angels last night, 5-1. They have an off day today before they start a 3-game series in the Vetter Cup with the Seattle Mariners tomorrow night at Petco Park. SDFC winning their 3rd straight game last night with a 2-0 victory. They will take on Kansas City this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium to look to make it 4 wins in a row. And looking at the PGA Championship leaderboard right now, it's an interesting top of the leaderboard with Cam Davis at 5 under par and Ryan Gerald at Cam Davis at 6 under par, Ryan Gerald at 5 under par, and Luke Donald at 4 under par. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be. Next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart, stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to Real Unlimited Data. It's quick and convenient. It won't even take up room in your cart.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim, and we should start the hour by reminding you, listen for a San Diego FC goal call from Adrian Garcia Marquez between now and 4 p.m. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760. One of you will qualify to win a pair of tickets for Saturday night. We'll qualify someone this hour, in the 4 o'clock hour, in the 5 o'clock hour, and then at 5:30, we'll announce of those 4 qualifiers for the 4 hours who is going to that match. Saturday night, Sporting KC, Sporting Kansas City will be here. SDFC won again last night, as Jim has been telling you in the update. So be listening for that sounder. In addition, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network, who has been with us so often over the last year or two on Jon and Jim, she will join us at 5 p.m. Her reaction to the NFL schedule release. Now, last night in that Padres win, Jim, you didn't see Yu Darvish because he didn't appear in the game.
No, but he did pitch elsewhere.
He did. He pitched in Las Vegas for El Paso. What was his line? 4 innings, 2 runs. A lot of first inning, 2-run home run, correct? I'm 97.3% sure. He went
97.3% sure.
4 innings.
Idiot.
I'm 97.4% sure.
There you go. You're 760% sure, right?
Such an idiot.
You're a moron. 4 innings, 51 pitches, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk.
I would not have thought of that.
You would have. It's just like
I just said. I just said it.
I know, and I am telling you, you're an idiot.
I am an idiot.
Yeah,
you're an idiot. You don't know baseball.
They don't know baseball either.
All right. So he went 4 innings and allowed 2 runs.
Correct.
I'm 100% sure now.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
So forget about the number I said earlier.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure right now. Yu Darvish, per Kevin Acee, and he joined us yesterday, but wrote this today in the UT, could rejoin the Padres as soon as next week in Toronto after working an efficient 4 innings in his first, and then he puts in parentheses, only question mark, rehab start last night in Las Vegas. You can read Jeff Sanders' story here, and I could click on that. Do you think Darvish will be back in Toronto on the next Padres road trip?
Yes.
Me too.
Just because what Kevin said yesterday, that why waste bullets down in the minors for a 38-year-old pitcher?
Right. Good point.
Like, use them at the big league level. You don't think they could benefit from 5 innings of Yu Darvish in Toronto?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go. 51 pitches is not some he threw like 25. No, 51 pitches is a pretty good number because next outing you're going to go up to like 70, 75, 80. That's enough that's enough for a 5-inning start.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And you're right. I mean, he is not getting younger. He'll turn 39 during the season.
Really?
In August.
That's crazy.
That he's not getting younger.
So you get older, you don't get
yeah,
younger.
but you know what I mean? Like these, like, you know, with Toddy, I'm not worried about him aging right now. I will be when he's 38.
Right. Yeah.
With Darvish, there are only so many innings left. There really are. I mean, he's thrown so many innings professionally across Japan and Major League Baseball. So I'm excited to see him. I hope it is next week in Toronto when the Padres are back on the road. That to me is kind of like the missing piece of where they're supposed to be until the trade deadline, right? You get Darvish back, and there's your team until late July.
What's the saying? It's like adding a piece of the trade deadline.
It is, but in May, it's like when they added Luis Ariz last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty big piece that they added in May.
The thing with Darvish is over his last 2 years with the Padres.
Okay.
2023, he threw 136 innings. Last year, he threw 81 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
He has yet to get on the mound for the Padres this season.
Right.
Those numbers are only going down. You're not going to see the 2022 194 inning Darvish ever again.
What do you think's the max for this year? So if he returns, it's late May.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're 45-ish games into your year.
How many starts would he make, you think?
Right. So in 110, let's say he made 20, 21. It could be more than that, but let's say 20, 21.
I would say between 110 and 125 innings.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it too.
I think that's a great number for Darvish.
Yeah.
And they've already played fantastic without him because the top of your rotation is going to lead the way. King, Cease, Pivetta, those guys are your workhorses. They're leading the charge. That's the luxury of picking up Nick Pivetta this year is without Nick Pivetta, we'd be looking at Darvish to try to fill that role.
Right.
And luckily, Darvish doesn't have to. The role that Darvish has to fill is not a role of being a workhorse. They don't have to throw him out there every fifth day. If they want to give him an extra day of rest or if they want to skip his start just to keep his arm fresh, they can absolutely do that. Even though if they did skip his start, we would be like, what's going on?
Right.
So the luxury here is a combination of having Nick Pivetta in your rotation and then the opportunity to have Darvish come back and be healthy, which would then make your rotation that much better.
Yeah, like if there's a time that we look up in the middle of the year, you know, it's not that Darvish is a luxury, but if he does throw your 120 innings that you theorize, there could be a lot of really good outings in there. I mean, if he makes 20 starts and throws 120 innings or 21 starts, I mean, that's 6 innings and outings. And I mean, that's pretty exciting to think about because you already have King, Cease, Pivetta. If we're going to say Darvish is like a throw-in and he's your number 4, man, that's as good of a number 4 as you're really going to find if he's healthy. Darvish as a number 4 for rotation is incredible to think about and is a possibility on this team with the 3 starters they have in front of them right now.
And we're a long way from this, but it's what this team has been trying to do their last, or at least wanting to have their last 2 postseason appearances in 2022 and then last year, 2024.
Right.
You did not have that 4th starter. Now, it's not the end all be all. We've seen teams win World Series with like 1 starter. We've seen teams win World Series with no start. Like
the Dodgers last year.
Dodgers had 2 guys.
Yep.
Flaherty and Yamamoto. And those guys at times weren't like throwing 7-8 innings.
Right.
Their bullpen led the way. So you can win a World Series with a really good offense and a lights out bullpen. Saw it last year.
Yeah. And that was what the Padres were trying to do last year. If they just could have turned the ball over to their bullpen with leads but the bullpen, you can't do anything about it. Like if Dylan Cease struggles like it did in game 4 last year, your bullpen's not going to make up for it. Darvish, to your point from earlier in the week or month, was really good in game 5. He went 7 innings, allowed 2 runs. But again, when your offense doesn't score, I don't care what bullpen you have.
But one of the big reasons why the Padres have been bounced their last 2 postseasons,
starting pitching.
Yeah. Like you had game 4. Yeah. Dylan Cease on 3 days rest.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Last 3 postseasons, because 2020, I know it was fake, but they had no stars. You talk about a team with no starters. They're throwing like Chris Paddock and an injured Dinelson Lamet and an injured Mike Clevenger.
Zach Davies out there.
Remember him? I mean, that was just from then to now.
Oh my gosh.
There's been a crazy uptick in their depth. obviously in the rotation.
Is Chris Paddock doing like well with the Twins? Twins are like fire.
Is he healthy?
I just saw a graphic today that said the Twins have won like 11 in a row, and on the graphic was Chris Paddock.
In 8 starts, he's 1-3 with a 4.8. So
Okay.
I mean, with a 1.3 WHIP, so he's been blah. That's crazy, by the way, that he's going to end up spending a lot of time in the major leagues and making some decent money.
Good,
he's only 29 and he's still in the big leagues. I mean, yeah, it is kind of good for him. That was one of those guys, like, man, when he burst onto the scene, people thought he was like the second coming of Jake Peavy.
Well, his ex-girlfriend's still with the Padres.
His ex-girlfriend.
Did you see this the other day? It's like
Padres?
totally random. So the Padres, like the Padres store, put out a tweet with all the like some players' like wives and girlfriends.
And it was Paddock's girlfriend.
And one of the women was holding up a Dylan Cease jersey, which is now we assume to be Dylan Cease's girlfriend, I guess. It was the ex of Chris Paddock.
Chris Paddock's ex is dating Dylan Cease based on this photo because she's holding up a Dylan Cease jersey.
If my journalistic skills are correct here.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
So,
okay. Well, the more you know.
Anyway, the two things, or the one thing that has hurt the Padres the most in their last couple postseasons is their lack of a fourth starter, because that's when everything just started to crumble. Game 4 in Philadelphia in 2022
with like what, Clevenger or Manaea,
which was just a train wreck.
Right.
Should have won that game, but they just could not keep the lead.
Their life 5-0 lead, like in the first inning.
Yeah, it was just awful. Had to win one game in Philadelphia and they couldn't do it. Lost 3 straight.
Yeah.
And then last year, game 4 against the Dodgers, you have to rely on a Dylan Cease who has been awful in his career on 3 days rest and
bad in the postseason.
And he just once again sucked.
Again, now we have hindsight on that. Really bad decision.
Really bad.
Because you look at how the Dodgers treated their postseason, and they did bullpen games, and it worked out for them. And the Padres have had success doing that before as well. So you're right. That fourth starter could be the difference. Hopefully will be a difference for the Padres this year. All right. A reminder, when you hear that goal call from Adrian Garcia Marquez, you call 877-767-4760, and you'll be qualified to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. Now, earlier today on the Herd right here on San Diego Sports 760, Colin Cowherd said there is a team that has the easiest schedule in the NFL since at least 2015.
That's just factual, though.
Okay. Which team is that? You'll hear next, Jon and Jim. All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. It's the bonus bucks giveaway. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Be listening for that goal sounder from Adrian Garcia Marquez. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760 to qualify to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. All right, Colin Cowherd. All right.
What about him?
You can hear him on San Diego Sports 760.
9 to noon.
9 to noon right here, right before Fletch Zone, which is right before Jon and Jim.
And right after the Dan Patrick Show from 6 to 9.
That's exactly right. And then after us, you can hear something else.
It is
the Odd Couple.
It is something else for sure.
Okay, the Odd Couple. All right, so this is Colin Cowherd reacting to the Niners 2025 schedule. Take a listen.
I have been a skeptic on the last couple of drafts for the San Francisco 49ers. I have said this, they're getting old and expensive. I don't like their offensive line. I thought this year's draft was a lot of hit and miss with 11 picks, 4 or 5 I liked, 5 or 6 I didn't. But they have the easiest NFL schedule, I'm not joking, since the 2015 Atlanta Falcons. And it's based on 2 metrics. Number one is last year's results. So they're playing a lot of teams that were bad last year. And the second metric is a lot of teams that are projected to be lousy this year. So on 2 different metrics, they've got the easiest schedule. Now, I will say this. If you gave Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Matt Stafford, Josh Allen this schedule, it is 13 to 14 wins. This is an affront to competitive football. And I don't want to hear $55 million Brock Purdy. I don't want to hear any excuses, or I don't want to hear any pom-poms when he wins 10 games with this mess of a schedule. San Francisco, not only is this schedule littered with mediocrity, they don't face a single team off a bye. Okay. Outside of Matt Stafford twice and CJ Stroud once, they don't face what people view as an elite quarterback. In fact, it's rookie quarterbacks. It's quarterbacks without 20 total starts. So I'm done with the Brock Purdy excuses.
Wow.
He's right in this sense. There's no excuse for the 49ers this year to not win at minimum 10 plus games.
16.
17 games. I mean, this schedule, just if you look at the team's records of last year,
right.
You know, it's bad. But we'll see. Maybe a couple teams in there like surprise and
yeah, maybe Carolina, Cleveland, and the Giants are really good. They're all going to be 14-3.
Well, this is
no, it's good. Honestly, we know this. Niners rebound, but to what extent? That's what we know.
There's a couple factors. One, health. It's always the number one factor in all of sports. Like if you're not healthy, you're not winning.
Especially in football.
Oh my God, football's the number one sport that you need to stay healthy in, or relatively healthy.
Yeah.
And the guys that need to stay relatively healthy, and I would say have to stay healthy for the full year, are Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams, obviously Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle.
It's just those guys.
Well, I mean, you say you could talk about teams that say like there's like 7 or 8 guys like have to stay healthy, right?
Right. Those are the 7 or 8 you're saying for the Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
100%.
those 7 or 8 guys stay healthy, odds are that they could be a good team. I think that they have to hit on the draft this year. Like they're going to have 3 or 4 dudes like actually pop. They can't continue to whiff on first round draft picks like they have in their, John Lynch's tenure here. But their schedule on paper, if you're just like comparing it to the records from last year, like, whoa, they better win 10 plus games.
Compare it to, for example, I just saw this on social, the Dallas Cowboys, who will play 6 consecutive games against teams that won 11 or more games last year. So the Cowboys are up against a much more difficult schedule. Listen to this. Weeks 12 through 17 for Dallas. Philadelphia, 14-3 last year. Kansas City, 15-2 last year. Detroit, 15-2 last year.
Oh.
Minnesota, 14-3 last year. The Chargers somehow won 11-6 last year. The Commanders, 12-5 last year. The Commanders, by the way, are all over national TV this upcoming season. Did you see that? 8 nationally televised games. You could have gone
Commanders?
8.
thought the Chiefs had the most with
They
like
do.
7.
Eh,
Because usually
I'll
you
Google
don't.
that.
Usually you don't get more than 5.
but I think with nationally televised, I mean like Saturday or like standalone 4 p.m. Fox.
Okay, that doesn't count then.
Doesn't?
No, nationally televised is either Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Black Friday.
Right. Hold on, let me look.
Because the Chiefs have, I know the Chiefs have 7.
right, which is amazing
Yeah,
because that's half their schedule.
they're on Christmas, Thanksgiving. They're gonna get I think the first Sunday Night Football game of the year with Chiefs Ravens.
Right.
So they have 3 right there. They have a bunch.
Yeah, I thought I'll have to find whatever it is. The Commanders have a lot by their standards.
Okay.
By their standards, they have more than they've ever had. I mean, you'd have to go back to like the 1990s. So everyone's high on Jaden Daniels, obviously.
Oh, for sure. They got Debo in the offseason.
Yeah. So, yeah. But no doubt. I mean, Kansas City, I saw an article today about like what Chiefs fatigue. People always say this. They don't like the Golden State Warriors. They watch them on TV. They don't like the LA Lakers and LeBron James or Cleveland. They watch them on TV. They don't like the Dallas Cowboys. They watch them on TV. And that's the same thing. That's who the Kansas City Chiefs have become. And when they play on Thanksgiving Day, when Kansas City plays Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, there will never be a game in the history of the NFL with more viewers in the regular season than that game.
No, none.
Ever.
Not a chance.
That's just a monster,
It's a huge game. It's probably the biggest game of the NFL season
just
as far as
from
like
a publicity and like a viewership standpoint.
Thanksgiving always draws the most.
Yep.
And when you just attach the Chiefs and the Cowboys, like, oh my God. That's going to be a huge number there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like this Niner schedule, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's a joke. I was just looking at it.
I mean, this is the end of their season. All right. So they play Carolina on a Monday night.
Oh, that'll be a showdown.
Then they play at Cleveland. They have a bye week in week 14. So
later
from week 12 on, they go Carolina at home, Cleveland on the road, bye week. Then they face Tennessee at home. Then they play at Indy. Then they play home against Chicago, and they finish up their year at home against Seattle. So 3 of their final 4 games are at home, coming off of a week 14 bye.
They got to win out. And by win out, I mean win.
There is, Colin is right. Maybe not from the Brock Purdy standpoint, but as a team-wide standpoint, Kyle Shanahan, there is no excuse, health permitting, no excuse that team should not win at minimum 10 games next year.
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt. If they're not in the postseason next year, everyone's gone. Right?
There will be a lot of people on the hot seat.
Yeah. If they don't they should absolutely make the postseason with that schedule. They should absolutely, because 10 wins with 7 teams in each conference making the playoffs.
And 10 wins is like a minimum.
Yep.
That you get 10 wins more likely than not, you're making the postseason. I don't think. When's the last time a 10-win team with the expanded postseason missed the postseason?
Happening. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's been happening. All right. We will react, by the way, to the NFL schedule with Cynthia Freeland, who will join us coming up at 5 p.m. from the NFL Network. On the other side, SDFC. They've won 3 straight. They're in second place in the Western Conference. Another match coming up in about 48 hours. You have a chance to win tickets to that match. When you hear the goal sounder, call 877-767-4760 to qualify to win. But we'll talk about SDFC, the expansion franchise that's second place right now in the Western Conference. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres, they beat the Angels last night 5-1. They win the series, and they have an off day today before they start 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners tomorrow night for the start of the Vetter Cup. SDFC, they are now have won 3 games in a row after a 2-0 victory last night. They take on Kansas City Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff time there. And looking at the PGA Championship leaderboard, it's an interesting top of the leaderboard. Ryan Gerard is at 5 under par right now. He is tied for the lead with Cam Davis at 5 under, and Luke Donald is at 4 under par. Don't postpone better sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale now. Upgrade to a premium bed from a curated selection and take your rest to the next level. Don't miss out. Visit Mattress Firm today. Get match sleep at night.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 with you until 6 p.m. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, will join us at 5. When you hear that Adrian Garcia Marquez goal call, make sure to call 877-767-4760 to qualify to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. You can qualify this hour, next hour, and in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll announce that winner of the qualifiers. Coming up at 5:30, you just mentioned it once again in your update, SDFC, big winners again last night, midweek game at Snapdragon Stadium, and you look up, Jim, and they're in second place in the Western Conference. A chance to make more of a move this weekend as well against this Sporting Kansas City team that's 3-8-2 this year. So things are really looking up for SDFC, winners of 3 straight.
Taking advantage of home matches at home, winning 3 in a row. What's the most impressive part about these last 3 games is it's coming off of 3 straight losses. So 3 straight losses, kind of the first adversity that this club has ever faced. Really?
Yeah.
Like that's like they've never faced that type of adversity.
Right.
So coming off of 3 straight losses, how are they going to respond? And they've responded beautifully. 5 goals in that match. When was it? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah, at home,
coming off of the 3-game losing streak, going on the road, winning on Saturday, quick turnaround last night, winning 2-0, a clean sheet for CJ Dos Santos. Now it's even quicker turnaround here to play this Saturday against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a real good chance to make it 4 straight wins here because Kansas City, they're not good. So what they have done off of the 3-game losing streak is very impressive, and it just shows the character of this team to keep fighting, keep battling, and really show that the 3-game losing streak wasn't going to have them go in a continuous spiral. It made them look themselves in the mirror, and 3 straight wins is very impressive.
It is. So in this Kansas City team that they're playing, I mean, consider this. Kansas City also played yesterday, right? Didn't we decide that? And they were in St. Louis. So it's one thing for San Diego to go back-to-back, but they're not traveling.
2-2 draw, by the way.
And for Kansas City, they're traveling. Mm-hmm. They're going Kansas City to St. Louis, presumably St. Louis straight to San Diego. Like, that is not ideal at all. And again, this is a team that has not been great just based on results. 3 wins, 8 losses, and 2 draws this year, including that one yesterday against St. Louis City. So this is a golden opportunity right now for SDFC. The thing that we touched on earlier in the year is that, like you said, take advantage of what's in front of you. I mean, the way the season's going to close for SDFC, we're still in the first half, not the second half, but because of college football that's in there, they're going to play a lot of road matches late in the year. So they're going to want to have some equity. They're going to want to have, an 8-point lead on a playoff spot or a 10-point lead on a playoff spot. Because, for example, 3 of their last 4 are on the road. 3 of their last 4. They're in Atlanta, they're in Houston, they're in Portland. So you're not going to want to go into the last 4 matches of the year like, hey, we need 3 wins. Well, 3 of your last 4 are going to be on the road. But they're doing everything in their power, to vie in the Western Conference is what I would say. Again, they're just, I think, is it 4 points out of first place right now in the Western Conference? I mean, they've been really, really impressive, obviously.
Yeah, Vancouver has 27 points to lead the Western Conference. SDFC has 23. Minnesota has 22. They're really good in their goal differential, +9 on the season. 25 goals, giving up a 16 there. And you look at their schedule after Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Next Saturday, they play the worst team in MLS. That's the LA Galaxy, who hasn't won a match this year.
Not this year.
So, you could be staring down the barrel if you play well on Saturday night at a potential like 5-game winning streak. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here,
No,
but
that's a good point.
you have the opportunity to pick up, 3 points on Saturday and 3 points next Saturday against Galaxy. And that's what you have to do if you want to be considered a top team in MLS, is like take care of business. That's what they did last night. They took care of business against a Colorado team that, is okay. They're fine, but they took care of business. They took care of business on the road against St. Louis last Saturday. They got to take care of business here while at home. And they have 2 home matches, one Saturday, next Saturday against Galaxy. Take care of business there, protect home field, right? Mikey Varas was on with us a couple weeks ago, say that they have to make that place like a fortress. And so far, so good at Snapdragon.
It's been very fortressy so far.
Very fortressy.
What a great time to launch a franchise. You're a year away from not only a World Cup, but a World Cup in America for just the second time ever and for the first time since 1994. You're in this amazing city that has really responded well, obviously, to professional soccer. And not just that, like the timing is impeccable to launch the franchise, but it's the way that they've played. I think you couple the timing where everyone is going to be talking about soccer in 2026 in America. You couple the timing with good play and the way they launched the franchise. Like, you can't buy what they did to start the year. They beat the champs in LA to start the year.
Now, we didn't know that Galaxy was going to be this
bad. It doesn't even matter because they beat the MLS Cup champions, and that's what they did. And they just got started on the right foot. Like, imagine if every result they had this year was flipped. The excitement level wouldn't necessarily be there. Now, the timing would still be good because it's still heading into the World Cup in America. You'd still be in San Diego. You'd still be drawing well. They sold 1 million season tickets. But like, this is a near perfect start for the franchise to play like this out of the gates. What more could you really ask for?
Do you know how many people were at the game last night?
I have no idea.
I can't find it.
I have no idea. Is it in the box score?
It's not in the box score, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like, usually it shows the bottom, like the attendance, but
right.
Anyway, it's not there. What I was going to say was, we've had a lot of
22-3-6-1.
Okay. We've had a lot of, and that's going up against the Padres game as well.
Yeah. And on Wednesday night, where they never play on Wednesday nights. So it's good.
Yeah. They're one of the best teams in MLS.
Yeah. Right now they are.
And as you said, like, dream start for this franchise.
Dream start.
You could not have asked for anything better. Mm-hmm. Like, right out the gate, they're already one of the best teams in MLS. Like, okay, that's awesome. You could not have asked for a better start to build a fan base, to build up a culture, to build up a expansion team.
Yeah.
And you're already one of the better teams in MLS. You're exciting. You're fun to watch. You have a really good team. You have some, players that are becoming some like household names here in San Diego.
Yeah.
And they're all it's just great start. Still, you got, half a season plus left here. But if you take care of business in your next 2 home matches, you are sitting very well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. And that's right in front of them, by the way, like you said, because it's not like they're taking on the best teams in MLS. And they're taking on teams that have struggled. So hopefully they can take advantage.
That's fine. Play who's in front of you and take care of your business.
Absolutely. And everything will take care of itself.
Possible.
All right. Again, when you hear that goal sounder call from Adrian Garcia Marquez, you call 877-767-4760. You'll qualify to win 2 free tickets for Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, Sporting Kansas City, and SDFC. So be listening for that goal call. You'll hear from Adrian Garcia Marquez at some point this hour. And call 877-767-4760. All right, a milestone last night for a Padre. And will he one day set the all-time franchise mark? We'll get into that on the other side. Plus, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network will join us coming up at 5 p.m. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
Chucky Irving! Lozano went chuk chuk boom.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Again, be listening for a sounder all afternoon long. We just heard one, but you'll hear it again coming up at least 2 more times during the show. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760. You'll hear that goal call from Adrian Garcia Marquez, and you can call and qualify to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. Now, Cynthia Freeland will join us coming up at 5 p.m. from the NFL Network. We'll talk about the PGA Championship as well with Ryan Harrington if you missed it at 5:30. You want to hear a Padres stat that, or Padres record that will never be broken? And there's a lot of them.
Okay.
From Tony Gwynn, right? So Manny Machado right now is 3rd in franchise history in runs scored because he surpassed 500 runs scored as a Padre last night. It's up to 501. So he's third all time in the history of the franchise. He'll move to second all time when he passes Dave Winfield, who's 98 runs higher right now than Machado is, 98 more runs scored. But Tony Gwynn is 884 runs ahead of Manny Machado in terms of career runs scored as a Padre. So Manny Machado would need to average like 100 runs a year for the rest of his career to surpass Tony Gwynn in runs scored as a San Diego Padre. It just illustrates the following point. Tony Gwynn will hold for a long time and does hold a lot of the franchise records in the history of the San Diego Padres. And that includes some of these great players like Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill. Some of these things might stand for forever from Tony Gwynn.
One of the, I'm not gonna say saddest things, but just like I don't know what word to use, but when you go into the Padres Hall of Fame and you look at on the walls, it shows the leaders of certain, statistical categories. It's all Tony Gwynn.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the second is just not even close.
Right.
The home run, Nate Colbert, that's finally been passed, and that will be a huge number when it's all said and done. And what I've said before is you're watching like legitimate Padres history right now. And that was the vision of Peter Seidler, is he wanted these core players to be around for not just 3-4 years, but for like 9, 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So then when your kids grow up, they say, I watched the career of Manny Machado. I watched the career of Fernando Tatis Jr. And then one day when you go into the Padres Hall of Fame at Petco, it's not just Tony up there. Like, yeah, Tony will be on the top of majority of the categories, but you're going to see Manny and you're going to see Tatis and you're going to see Merrill, and the numbers are going to look much more respectable compared to like other franchises in baseball.
Yeah, it's a great point because it'll take a little while for them to all get up there, assuming health and productivity. But like, you're going to have to fast forward a half decade to see Machado at the top of a lot of these lists, or closer to the top. You'll have to fast forward another half decade for Tatis and Merrill and so on and so forth. I mean, I'm just looking right now at Baseball Reference. It is remarkable, not only how many categories that Tony leads, but by the amount in which he leads, right? Like, it's not just that he leads in all these categories, like doubles and triples and total bases and ABs and hits and runs and whatever else. It's that the difference is so remarkable between himself and second place. Like, when you've scored 1,383 runs and the next best is 599, like, you've run circles. When you had 3,141 hits, the second most hits in the history of the Padres? You don't, but it's Gary Templeton with 1,100.
Okay.
And Tony has 3,100. So it's amazing. It is amazing how he has run circles around everyone in the history of this franchise, hence Mr. Padre. But there will be a day potentially, because of this era that we're in, to your point, where Manny and Toddy and Merrily, to quote Shilty,
Merrily,
could even surpass Tony in some of these areas, potentially. If you fast forward 5-10 years, potentially, maybe that's on the line in the future, but that's a maybe for a lot of these.
Yeah, it's a maybe. But
it's a maybe.
But still, the cool part is what you're watching right now as a Padre fan is guys that aren't leaving in a year. Like Merrill, he's going to be around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Manny, a long time. Toddy, long time.
Long time.
There's some players that you want to see around for a long time, like Michael King. But the core of this team is here for the long haul. And that's pretty cool.
It's really
especially
cool.
Jackson Merrill, which thank God we don't have to talk about his contract or anything anymore, that it's just done with and he's here for the foreseeable future.
And they did it relatively quickly when we look back on it. I mean, he's only a year into his major league career and they took care of his extension. Yeah, it could have played out like, the Skeens thing they'll be talking about in Pittsburgh for 5 years and he's not going to sign.
They got Jeff Passan on Pat McAfee saying that the Pirates should trade Paul Skeens right now.
Trade him right now. 25 starts into his Pirates career. Just move him. You could get a lot for him.
Listen.
Yankees.
No. Would you? I know what you would say. And if anybody says no, they're stupid. DeVries, Salas, Cash, Mayfield.
Oh, I'm like Cash?
No.
The player.
Whoever else you want in your minors.
Whoever else. For Skeens?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course.
No
I would take
question.
a cornerstone ace over any potential prospect, and that would include Leo DeVries. I don't know what it would cost because you're right. They wouldn't be going after your major league roster. They'd be going after your system.
Mm-hmm.
They would try to turn one player that's controllable into 3 controllable, high ceiling guys.
I would trade everybody in their minors. Everybody.
Hey, Yuli, are you still in the minors? Hey, Jason Hayward, like just take everyone that's in AAA and just put them on the Pirates.
You want Campy too? Sure.
You can have them.
You can have them. Who else do you want?
What do you think it would honestly take? Like for Jeff Passan to say something like that, and I don't know what he said, but you heard it. Like, what's he saying? Like, trade him now and get what?
Well, he is going down the path of Paul Skeens is not going to resign with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And
yeah, we're going down that path too.
But
that is not happening.
Are the Padres in a better spot to win than the Pirates? Absolutely.
No, I'm saying that. Oh, no. I wouldn't say I'd go down the path if they traded for Skeens. I'm saying that we agree that the Pirates aren't re-signing.
Oh, yeah.
Skeens.
No, he's not staying there.
Right.
He's under control for what, 5 more years?
If you include this year, it's 5. It's 4 after this year.
Yeah, this year and 4 more.
Mm-hmm.
He's not re-signing there unless they give him like a $350 million contract.
He won't do it even then.
No, that's not happening. So what Jeff was alluding to was pull the Juan Soto, type of trade where the Nationals did it with what, 2 years left on his deal. Sorry,
2+ years.
2+ years. And they got the Godfather deal from the Padres.
Right.
Now I'm sure the Nationals are sitting there saying like, we got James Wood, we got Mackenzie Gore, we got CJ Abrams. Like we're feeling pretty good after that trade. He was going down the path of the Pirates probably should do the same thing because they're not re-signing Skeens. They're not going to win with him. So they're just wasting him and they're not going to get better around him because that organization is trash and they're not going out and spending money in free agency. Why not go out and get a Godfather deal for him with a bunch of minor league talent to replenish your minors? And that's how you build a team. Because right now with Paul Skeens, you're not winning.
What a waste, to your point, because you land them, which is like a credit to you, to your team, and then you don't do anything with them, and you just move on from him.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think they will move on from him right now, but there'll be a day where they do probably.
But they are just wasting him, and they're not doing anything about it.
Right.
So either this upcoming offseason, you decide to spend money and you make trades and you spend big time money, or you trade them. If I'm Paul Skeens, I'm probably asking, get me out of here.
You think already? If you're Paul Skeens, you're saying, "Hey, I want out."
Probably. He's not winning there.
No, he's not.
He's being wasted. So, like, my mind immediately goes to DeVries, Salas, whoever else. I don't care. Like, you want this? Sure, take him. Everyone. Could you imagine though?
Adding Skeens to this rotation? Yeah, I can imagine it. I don't think it's going to happen.
It will never happen in a million years. But like, look, if Jeff Passan's throwing that out there, I'll throw that out there.
He's got a career in 32 starts in the major leagues, a career 2.16.
Yeah, he's very good.
This guy started his pitching, his college career at Air Force. Dude, Air Force their rotation must have been awesome. With Paul Skeens at the front of the rotation, Air Force must have been awesome. Right?
Hey,
that's crazy. I mean, he went to LSU after that, but that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean,
give me a
it'll
rotation.
be interesting to see what the return one day is for Paul Skeens if this is who the pitcher he's going to be. Like they'll trade him his 4th year with 2.5 years of control. That's what they'll do because it'll save face from doing it now. I mean, now it's like move the franchise if you move him in year 2.
Yeah.
But I want to know what the return one day will be for Paul Skeens.
And why, like, it's a fun, I guess, exercise or just a fun thing to think about because Leo DeVries is really good. And by the end of the year, he could be the number 1 ranked prospect in baseball.
Yeah, he could.
So, if you got the number 1 prospect in baseball and you're going out and trying to get one of the best pitchers in baseball,
why not?
Would you make that trade?
Yeah, I would trade Salas and DeVries
And
and
everybody
the
else,
top pitching prospect for Paul Skeens.
and whoever else they want, like in the minors.
I mean, by and large, I don't. Yes, because the top of your system is clearly DeVries. So yeah, I would trade players that aren't as good as DeVries. I mean, how could you say no to that? Who says no to that? 877-767-4760 or 70470. Start it with team.
I would do it in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do
Especially
it right
this
now.
year.
I'll do it. Yeah, this year. Exactly.
I'll do it right now.
Does he help? Does he get you closer to winning a World Series? Answer that question. Does he get you closer in 2025 and 2026 than anyone you just mentioned?
Paul
Answer anyway.
Skeens, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Nick Pivetta, Yu Darvish in your rotation. It's pretty good.
Can you imagine? If I'm AJ, I'm listen. We can make that call.
Look, it won't happen.
No, it's not gonna happen.
But it's a fun thing to think about.
Sure is. We'll get to the wrap on the other side to kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim. Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network. She will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Ryan Harrington Golf Digest. If you missed him at 5:30, we've got those SDFC tickets to give away. Stay with us, Jon and Jim. San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they beat the Angels last night 5-1, winning the series. They have an off day today before they start a 3-game series with the Seattle Mariners in the Vetter Cup tomorrow at Petco Park. SDFC with a 2-0 win last night over Colorado. They have now won 3 in a row. They're looking to make it 4 straight as they take on Kansas City Saturday night. Stay tuned as we're giving away tickets for that match. And then looking at the PGA Championship leaderboard right now, at the top leaderboard, Ryan Gerard's at 5 under par. Also, Cam Davis is 5 under par as well. And Luke Donald is 4 under par. Just a reminder, each night at 10 p.m., you can get updates on the day's action. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. And this weekend, you can hear live coverage of rounds 3 and 4 starting at 11 a.m. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends June 14th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Jon and Jim, hour 3 with you until 6 p.m. Cynthia Freeland will join us from the NFL Network at 5 p.m. Her reaction to the NFL schedule release, the biggest games. She'll join us coming up at 5 p.m. Ryan Harrington, Golf Digest at 5:30. And again, be listening for that goal sounder from Adrian Garcia Marquez, because when you hear it, you can call 877-767-4760 and qualify to win 2 free tickets for Saturday night. We'll qualify someone this hour, someone in the first half of the 5 o'clock hour, and announce the winner coming up around 5:30.
Yep. So we've already qualified 2 people. 2 more qualifiers for your chance to go to Saturday night at 7:30 at Snapdragon Stadium. Looking to hopefully see SDFC win 4 in a row.
4 in a row. Sporting Kansas City Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium. All right. So Cynthia Freeland will join us coming up in about an hour. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Are you guys excited for flag football with NFL players in the 2028 Olympics?
Who's going to honestly play in the NFL?
It's hard for me to sleep in terms of my excitement level.
Think Shedeur Sanders is going to play in that?
Shedeur Sanders? Maybe.
Like, you're not getting Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson and Chris McCaffrey in there.
That team would be loaded.
That'd be a good team. You're getting.
Are you running the ball though? Like, do you want is this a running game or are you just throwing it?
Just throwing it. Like 4 wide, just go to the end zone.
Well, how many players are on a flag football?
I don't know. Is it 7-on-7?
I think so.
That many?
So
I want the best offensive line possible.
My guess is you'll be getting like all the backups.
Are we going to smoke Croatia?
We better.
Like an American flag football? We should dominate this thing.
Like, what about like U.S. versus Japan? Come on.
We should win.
Easily.
But 3-on-3 basketball, the U.S. isn't always winning the Olympics. But they're not using like LeBron James for the 3-on-3 team. Right?
No.
They're using like Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, we're using Jimmer Fredette and whoever else.
What's the rules here, Brett?
12 players on a team, 5 on the field at any given time.
5. Only 5 guys. So what, quarterback, someone that snaps it? So you snap it and run a route, and there's 3 other receivers?
Probably.
They got quarterback, 2 wideouts, a running back, a tight end, and then what they have listed as an alternate.
My guess is you won't see anybody that we know of playing in this. I don't even know if we're going to get. I don't know who's going to want to do this.
No, I want to stack this team. I need Josh Allen.
They're not.
Yeah, I need all the Travis Hunter. He's playing both ways on my flag football team. Definitely.
Okay, in a world where these guys would actually do it, then yeah, absolutely. But that's not happening.
I don't think we need those players to still win gold in flag football.
No.
So I think we could win with someone else.
No, and I saw this morning too that it's full of like all these like compensation things for if a player would get injured, that they're going to get the teams will get a whole bunch of compensation. The players will get compensation.
Like draft picks?
I don't know if it's draft picks, but yeah, they're going to get some form of like compensation and
someone's going to blow out
insurance
their
causes. Yeah,
No money is worth Patrick Mahomes playing in the flag football Olympics. I'm sorry, it's not.
You don't
Same
think
thing
he
with
needs
Josh
that,
Allen or Lamar Jackson.
You don't think that Mahomes might need that to complete his resume?
Now, if they said, "Hey, your guy gets injured, we give you a first-round pick,"
I found it.
What is it?
They purchased league-wide insurance policies to provide injury protection for any player that was injured while participating in the Olympics, a salary cap credit for any player who is injured, an exception to the Olympic flag football teams. So you'll get like a salary cap credit. So, yeah.
Well, also the rules are no more than one player per NFL team per nation. So you can't have like 2 Kansas City Chiefs on Team USA. You could have one on Team USA, one on Team Canada, but you can't have 2 players playing for the same nation. I'd stack in this team. I'm trying to make this dream team. I want to beat everyone 200-0.
All right, so let's go through the process here real quick. Do a little exercise.
Okay.
Who's your quarterback?
Mahomes.
Okay. Who's your first wide receiver?
I mean, Justin Jefferson was a good call right there. He'd be one of my 2 receivers, right?
Who's your next wide receiver?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek is going to be a big play threat. He's a little older.
Okay.
By 2028.
Who's your running back?
Saquon. He's a little older too.
I want someone that can catch the ball.
It's Ashton Genty.
I want someone
2028.
I'll take Christian McCaffrey.
He's going to be like 50 and hurt.
He's still in his 20s, bro.
Dude, Christian McCaffrey's on the downside of his career. And in flag football, he's way on the downside of his career.
Okay. Who's your tight end?
Dallas Goedert. No, I don't know.
Kittle?
Again, we're talking 2028.
Sam Laporta?
I don't know, dude. I just know that we're going to need to win this. So I'm bringing out my A team. You can't lose the first ever flag football competition in Los Angeles in America.
All right, well, nobody's going to care.
I think it'll get good numbers.
Unless Mahomes and
Tyreek Hill,
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are out there. Who's going to care?
Okay, that's fair. I would go to that, though, in LA. Next question.
Who's going to win the PGA Championship?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be any of the big names out there.
Right.
Because like we talked with Ryan Harrington earlier in the show, the top of his leaderboard is a bunch of who? Like right now, Ryan Gerard's leading the tournament at 5 under par. Had a really good day. Shot 66. Do you know who that is?
Of course, he's an American.
Cam Davis, who's at 5 under par right now, shot a 66. Do you know who that is?
I know that he's not an American. I'm looking at the little logos next to that.
Okay. I'll go with you mean Matt Fitzpatrick.
You're going with Matt Fitzpatrick?
Sure. He's at 3 under par right now.
Dude, this is so easy. It's Scotty Scheffler. He's 2 under par. It's right where he needs to be.
Easy.
He's well positioned, and you look at this leaderboard. To your point, I mean, this guy could be in first place by the end of tomorrow. I like Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
At Quail Hollow. Who'd you take, Gerard?
No, I literally just said Matt Fitzpatrick.
I wasn't. Who's
and
Matt
you said
Fitzpatrick?
You called me out for it.
Yeah, because I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah, he's a really good golfer.
Next question.
Will Steph Curry ever appear in an NBA Finals again?
So we've buried the lead here.
Without purchasing a ticket. Will he ever make an NBA Finals?
I would like a rainbow roll tomorrow.
Oh, Lord.
From down the street at Obi Sushi.
Text me.
Thank you in advance.
No, that's the only reason why he didn't play is because they sucked and lost 4 straight games.
If
they would have won a game, he'd play.
I know. What did I say?
You said they were going to suck and lose 4 straight games.
Yeah. And what happened?
They sucked and lost 4 straight games.
And what happened because of that?
And Steph was on the bench smiling in his sweatsuit.
And he didn't play. You said he would be back in the series. I said he wouldn't be back in the series.
I didn't know the Warriors were going to fold like a cheap tent.
Right, because Steph's one of the best players in basketball. Without Steph, they suck.
And whatever his name is, Steve Kerr said that they were a legitimate title favorite if they had Steph.
Okay, but guess what? They didn't.
Right.
And so because of that, you owe me a sushi roll.
That's fair. I'll get you one.
This is a huge offseason, like kind of like the last push here for the Warriors. They're going to sign and trade Kuminga. They can get something back for him. If they make some moves that work out, like I heard today, like they're looking at potentially like Brooke Lopez as like a
Lookout league.
Okay, trade for Cam Johnson from the Nets, sign and trade with Kuminga, some draft picks, a couple other salaries there. You have the three with Jimmy and Steph and Draymond, Pajemski, who was off of the series.
Every single time I watched that dude play, I never saw him make one shot.
He sucks.
I watched him shoot the ball 25 times. It never went in when he shot the ball.
Well, he had 28 points last night.
I didn't watch last night.
I know you did.
And they got, how much did they lose by?
Like 10.
Did they cover? They were 10.5 point dogs.
I don't think they did.
All right.
Actually, you know what? I think they might have. The question is, we appear in the NBA Finals again. I'm not going to say no.
They lost by 11, so they didn't cover.
Oh, they didn't cover. 9.5 is the spread.
I think Brooke Lopez would be a nice fit for you guys. He could block shots.
I know he's actually like a legitimate center with like a guy that can shoot threes.
Steph is 37. He was 35. Okay. Next question. He's old. Next question.
Washed.
Is the Vetter Cup a must-win series?
Bro, if they don't win this series,
then they don't win the Vetter Cup.
And not only do they not win the Vetter Cup, Mike Schultz going to be very sad.
Is he on the hot seat if you don't win the Vetter Cup?
We cannot have a sad Mike Schultz after a Vetter Cup series loss. That just can't happen.
Don't they play Seattle twice?
In Seattle?
No, do they have two series against Seattle?
They do.
They have one in Seattle this year?
Yeah. Now, is that series a 2 or 3 game series?
I think it's 3. That's why they have the tiebreaker rules. Exit velocity wins it.
Oh, that's right.
Best exit velocity.
I'm going to keep my eyes on who has the best exit velocity in this series.
Oh, you should.
Because that could be a key pivotal piece here to who wins the Vetter Cup.
And they honestly debut an actual like trophy that
they did
will stay in the stadium of the winning team.
I'm sure the players were like, we got to win that trophy, guys. I think Manny's like, huddle up.
Are they going to keep?
We got to win this trophy.
Are they going to keep in the spring facility since they share the spring facility?
Probably.
Yeah, they play 3 games in Seattle in August. Imagine you trail the Vetter Cup 3-2 heading into that final game of the Mariners series, and you need a win to get even in the Vetter Cup, and you then need run differential. Like, would you try to tack on? Okay, it's the 6th game. The runs are tied at 22 apiece. You're up in the 6th game, 6-0. Do you leave Manny and Toddy in the 9th to try to pile on because you don't have the highest Evo? Will Mike Schultz be asked that question? The dumbest question in baseball history that I just proposed?
I need that to be asked, by the way, now.
I seriously, I'm like, hey, are you going to tell the guys to swing a little harder?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, because highest exit velocity is a tiebreaker.
If there's a chance that you guys have an opportunity to tack it on here and run up the score because of the run differential possibilities, if you guys tie the series, will you do that?
Will you be extra aggressive on the bases, like trying to score?
Yeah. If you guys are up by 10 runs, will you bring in like Robert Suarez to preserve that like 10-run lead?
Yeah. No defensive indifference this series. Don't let them go to second in a 10-0 game. They could score.
Are you going to keep the runner on first if you're up 10 runs?
Man,
they're going to be stealing up 20.
That's amazing. I love it. I
don't know what even to say about this upcoming series, but the Vetter Cup, it's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not only would Mike Schultz be sad if they lost the series, there's another Padre that reportedly was sad that we'll discuss on the other side.
Everyone's just sad now. They're one of the best teams in baseball.
But they should be happy based on what's played out the last couple of days against the Angels. Be listening for that goal sounder. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760 to qualify for a chance to win SDFC tickets for Saturday night. You'll hear that between now and 5 p.m. We'll announce the winner at 5:30. Stay with us on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt. You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey guys, it is Schaefer, and you can get cash out now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Call now to start the conversation. 619-207-4336, loanpronto.com, 619-207-4336. Get debt relief now, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLS, consumeraccess.org. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I'm going to mention this tweet from Kirk Kenny, who covers Aztec football, because it is ridiculous. Brent's going to be amazed by this.
Yeah, do it.
So during the pandemic, he went to Chick-fil-A in Del Sur every day just to get out of the house. And now there's a sign. He posted a photo of himself 57 minutes ago next to a sign in the Del Sur Chick-fil-A location. And the sign has like a counter.
Just read his tweet.
I mean, I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm explaining it.
Okay.
I think it makes sense what I'm saying. He's dying now 1,369 consecutive days at the Del Sur Chick-fil-A.
4.5 years.
Which isn't 1,369 days. 365 times 4 is not that many, right?
But you take out Sundays.
Wow.
That's why.
Take out Sundays.
Because they don't have, Chick-fil-A's not open on Sundays.
Why?
Because it just isn't.
No, I know.
Because it's too good. You can't have it 7 days a week.
But like, is that like a U.S. record?
He said that, eating there every day during the pandemic just to get out of the house, prompting one employee to suggest that he tried dining there every day except for Sundays for an entire year. He then said nearly 4.5 years later, and he's pointing to the sign on the wall with the amount of days that Kirk has ate in a row at Chick-fil-A, Sundays excluded.
1,369.
It's not even close to a record. Dan Gorski, of course, a Wisconsin man, has eaten at least one Big Mac every day since May 17th, 1972. And is the Guinness World Record holder for most Big Macs eaten in a lifetime. As of March 15th of this year, he has consumed 35,000 Big Macs.
Wow.
And what's his cholesterol look like?
Well, it's like the
Probably
more
not
it's
good.
Like,
it says he eats 2 a day.
Two a day?
One for lunch and one for dinner.
It's like the documentary, right? All meals from McDonald's for
Said
30
he used
days.
to eat 9 Big Macs a day. And he's not like fat either. You remember how he talked about Jim's metabolism? He must have gym level metabolism.
It doesn't mean that this isn't a Chick-fil-A record.
No, that's true. I just meant
You know?
in general for like fast food days in a row.
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive.
I saw this question online. Could you eat you have 48 hours to spend $1,000 at McDonald's?
You have to eat all the food?
Yes.
I mean, I couldn't. I'm sure someone like Rich Ornberger probably could.
It's virtually impossible.
Because you got to load up on expensive items.
Yeah, and you're not sitting there eating 50 cheeseburgers in one sitting.
That's a good point.
It's just
so
not
$1,000. You said
$1,000 in a 48-hour span.
Does it include drinks?
It includes anything on the menu. Anything on the menu.
What's the most expensive thing?
It's
Coffee.
a cheeseburger for almost $11 or whatever. The quarter pound.
That would be hard.
You could probably just drink a whole bunch of frappuccinos and stuff.
At like $8.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your sugar would be like crazy.
But what do you think would be easier to drink a bunch of drinks or to
eat a
try and
bunch of
force
burgers?
80 Big Macs down your throat?
You need to drink 125 whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, if you only did
pop.
coffees, but I'm just trying to think of something that is
what about 60 coffees and 60 burgers? That's impossible.
Yeah,
it's truly impossible.
It's like a question that I saw of like Mr. Beast would be like, you have to eat $1,000 worth of McDonald's
what it is.
in a 48-hour time span, and if you do that, you win $100,000.
If you had to eat somewhere for 4 consecutive years, where would you eat?
Oh, this is a good question. I've asked it before.
Yeah,
it's easy answer. It's Cheesecake Factory
because they have everything.
Because their menu is so big, you're never going to get bored.
Right, you can do anything.
Yep,
every type of food would be available on the menu.
I think Blake Snell was the person that asked this question.
Oh, really?
A while ago, or he might have answered this question that was given to him by, I think, the Padres social media team.
It's a good question.
Somebody asked it in this town, and I remember talking about it. That the place to go, it's Cheesecake Factory.
That's a really good answer.
Everything there.
Yeah. I used to like Chick-fil-A when I ate chicken, but I don't think I like it enough to eat there every day for 4.5 years.
I couldn't.
Honest. No,
I couldn't do that.
Now you get the Sunday reprieve, to your point,
but still,
but the other 6 days you're still eating there. All right, I want to touch on Fernando Tatis Jr., but we can actually do it on the other side of a break. Again, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network is going to join us today, coming up at 5 p.m. NFL schedule released last night. We'll get Cynthia's reaction, friend of the show here on Jon and Jim. Ryan Harrington Golf Digest reaction to round 1 of the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. We also have Simple Minds tickets to give away for next Saturday at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Be listening for that goal sounder to win SDFC tickets. We got everything going on. We're here until 6 p.m. Stay with us. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they're coming off a series win against the Angels. They have an off day today before they start a 3-game series with the Mariners tomorrow night at Petco Park. SDFC beat Colorado last night 2-0. They've now won 3 games in a row. Next up, they take on Kansas City this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 start time. Of course, you can listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. And looking at the PGA Championship leaderboard, it's an interesting top leaderboard. Ryan Gerard's at 5 under par. Cam Davis is at 5 under par. And Jonathan Vegas is at 5 under par right now. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends June 14th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, be listening for that sounder. You'll hear the play-by-play voice of SDFC, Adrian Garcia Marquez, with his goal call. When you hear it, you can call 877-767-4760. You'll be qualified, potentially to win 2 free tickets for SDFC on Saturday night. Among the qualifiers, we'll have 1 winner. We'll announce that around 5:30 here today. Kevin Acee yesterday touched on this with us, also wrote about it. This idea that Fernando Tatis Jr. was sad.
Sad Toddy.
Okay, so I kind of scoffed at it, truthfully, until he did the reporting on it. And until I heard what Tatis said postgame 2 nights ago when he was asked, I think, by our former colleague, Marty Caswell, or it might have been by Kevin, I forget, but I think Marty may have asked it. And he admitted to the fact that, yeah, seasons are long. The road trip was tough. They dealt with a lot of rain delays. It's hard to play at like your peak ability day in and day out. And there's things that get in the way of doing that as well. And he even talked to AJ Preller about it. That's what Tatis said 2 nights ago, that he assured AJ Preller he's good. This was because people were reacting to the fact that he wasn't doing like his typical like stutter step around third base on a couple of his home runs over the last few days. But Toddy, like all these guys, Jim, are human beings. So like we know what it's like to like do a job every single day. There's good days, there's bad days. The same applies for professional athletes. We expect them to be these heroes each and every day. They're people, believe it or not. Did you know that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're not like cartoons
Or robots?
or like Transformers. They're real people too with real feelings, and they have real feelings. So they can get
Wow.
sad too,
They can?
including Toddy.
Aw.
I know.
Hope he's not sad anymore.
Maybe not on an off day.
Look, we don't know what goes on in a lot of these guys' personal lives,
Mm-hmm.
but coming from a point of, every day me and you, we have to be on. We can't just come in here and just not talk. We got to talk.
Right.
And like we have to do a job. And I'm not going to equate it to what the baseball players do.
What's harder, 42 home
Okay,
runs?
you just but at the same time, like they got to go out there and they got to perform
Right.
every single night, regardless of what's going on in your personal life. Me and you, we have to quote unquote perform.
No, you're right.
Mhm. Albeit it's not even close to what baseball players have to do.
No, it's harder.
But still, I can sympathize. I understand.
I completely sympathize. That's
Yeah.
kind of I completely sympathize. I remember our former program director who, we worked with for years, Brian,
Yeah.
right? And what you just said there, he would say like, I don't pay you to talk. I pay you to do a show. So like you are performing,
Yeah.
and Tatis, same thing. Like they don't pay him to go through the motions. They pay him to be at his best.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. And it's not just because it's baseball. It's hard in all the sports.
Mhm.
It's hard in all of the sports to gear up and be ready to play at the level of Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill, Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley,
Oh, yeah.
Steph Curry. That is a high bar.
Yeah, like-
it's a high bar for the 26th man on your roster
Yeah.
to keep that job.
Like there's a lot of times that your mind is elsewhere.
Wanders.
It's not going to be, unless you're Jackson Merrill, like 100%
It's true.
on like whatever your job is, especially with a job like they have.
Everyone can relate to this, what I'm about to say. It's like Jim will say, hey, Aaron's going through something at home. She had a procedure. I'll say, hey, Kristen had something at work. Oh, Jim had a kidney stone. He talked about that publicly. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. But like, what that is like from a stress perspective. If Aaron is going through something and now you got to block that out
Mhm.
and you got to do your show or you got to go through your day, but you're a little off
I'll be
because of
sad,
what's
Jim.
going on. But same thing with these guys. It's like we have no clue what they deal with day in and day out.
Right.
They have relationships too. They have children. They have bills. Like all these things. Again, I mean, would people change places with them immediately? Of course. Of course. Would you change places with Tyler Wade to make $750,000 a year
Yeah.
to play the big leagues and travel first class and stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Boston? You would.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's quote unquote all what you think it is.
Like the glamorous lifestyle that
exactly.
you think when you're a professional athlete.
Right.
You know, you have to work your ass off. It's not just you show up, you get to be on stage and everyone loves you and
you always come through in the clutch.
Right.
Everything goes perfectly.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Like you have to work out. You got to keep your body at tip-top shape. You have to eat right. You have to, manage a family during a baseball season. You got to, perform for your team, especially if you're getting paid a lot of money. And if you're not getting paid a lot of money, it's even harder because you got to be working to keep that spot on that roster or else you're going to get cut.
And you got to deal with the pressure that comes with like you said, I mean, when you get paid, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You got to deal with people like me and you talking about someone's lack of performing, or you got
on a radio,
or you got to. Here's the other part that a lot of people don't understand is you have to talk to the media a lot, and it's not just the manager's job. Like last night, and when things are good, it's easier. But like Manny Machado is going to talk to the media a lot, and it's just a part of the gig. And you have to be like on your A game. You say one thing improperly, and people will circle on that. Like if Manny has one negative interaction with a media member, the first thing I'm going to do is highlight it.
You mean like last night when he told Kevin basically shut the hell up?
Yeah, we didn't play that today, but I mean but we have over the years played things like that.
No, he didn't say that last night, but it was a funny interaction last night between Manny and Kevin, where Kevin's trying to get to the bottom of why Manny's hitting 340 this year, and Manny continuously is saying see ball, hit ball.
Yeah,
I'm just keeping it simple. And then Kevin's digging and digging because he has stuff to write and he wants to write about Manny. And then he just turns to Manny or to Kevin, and Manny goes, "You're talking too much. Like, just stop talking. Like you're making this crazy. Like you're gonna get this in my head. Like it's as simple as see ball, hit ball with me. Like stop talking, Kevin."
I know it was funny.
Yeah, it was.
619. By the way, I disagree with this. I knew we'd get this reaction. You can call us as well. 877-767-4760. I knew this was coming. Boo-hoo for poor Tatis having to deal with rain delays, all the travel on a charter plane. Have the poor guy cry himself to sleep on his pillow stuffed with $100 bills. Not every rich person, by the way, is the happiest person, right? What do they say? Money doesn't buy happiness. There are a lot of people you see in sports or Hollywood or with, I don't know, like billionaires, millionaires. That doesn't mean like, oh, they have so much money, they're automatically the happiest people in the world. Is it always work that way? Hey, you have money, you're really, really happy, right? So don't get me wrong. I prefer to have the money than not, right? I think it makes things easier. But like, I don't think Tatis is doing this for the money at this point. He signed the deal. You know what I mean? Like he's not in it like I need to get the paycheck. He's going to get the paycheck. He's in it because he's trying to perform. He's in it because he's a baseball player.
Boo-hoo, who cares?
Yeah,
Stop.
but you knew that would.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. And I get it because again, from the other side of the equation, it's like, man, I wish I was Fernando Tatis Jr. Yeah, of course you do. I mean, 99.9% of people would trade spots with him, but that doesn't mean he has like the easiest thing in the world to do. I guess is my point.
You're right. He doesn't. None of these guys do. And are we very critical of some of them?
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah, we are. But we're also breaking down like the games, and basing it off of like, are you a player that's making 25 million a year or making 5 million a year? And that's your job. It's a game and it just comes with the territory. Like media, we got a job to do. We're talking about the sport, talking about baseball. But yeah, it's a good reminder to take a step back and realize like, oh yeah, these dudes are human. They have a life outside of baseball. Some of these guys, it's like a professional athlete might only play for 7 years tops in a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's like, okay, well, you have like 80 years left of your life. Like, what are you doing after you're done playing? Now, it's more towards like football players, right?
Yeah, where the average career is like 3 years.
Yeah, but for athletes out there, there's a very small percentage that play 15 to 20 years even.
Very small.
And a very small percentage that make as much money as guys like Manny Machado do, where they're set for life. A lot of these dudes are, bouncing around teams and just trying to, like Connor Joe, he's just bouncing around right now, just trying to stay in the bigs, make a living, make some money. And it's difficult.
Yeah. Again, I get the pushback on it. I do. But I mean, again, when I hear from the players directly say it's like real life, there's good days and there's bad days. Like, can't we all relate to that? Like, just because they're, on display and make a lot of money and are really good at their craft doesn't mean that they don't have feelings too, I guess is my point. And nobody wants to hear about it, because the other thing I sympathize with is when you don't come through,
no one's gonna be like, oh man, you had a tough, argument with your wife at home before the day or something.
Exactly. They expect you to be at your best and they never consider anything else that's going on.
No, because they don't talk about it.
Right.
So we don't know about it.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is we're talking about what we saw on the baseball field.
Yep.
Or the football field or the basketball, court. Like, we are not sitting here every day being like, I wonder what Manny and his wife, talked about this morning. Right. Or do you think it's difficult with Manny having a kid now and trying to balance, baseball and his life with his newborn,
or health, which a lot of these guys will never talk about because it's also a competitive Manny disadvantage.
Who twisted his ankle last night, but I'll never talk about it.
And he won't talk about it, and they'll never discuss it, but they have to perform despite that as well. 631, by the way, follows up and says, anyone who has grown up with a lack of money and ends up with money later in life will tell you money is great, but it will come at a cost. I guess that was kind of my point, that the boo-hoo, he's got money. Well, there are people with money. There's a lot of people with money, and there's people without money. And just because you have money doesn't mean you're happy. And just because you don't have money doesn't mean you're unhappy, because we're all human beings. All right, we're going to give away on the other side these tickets to see Simple Minds with Soft Cell and Modern English. This is Saturday, May 24th, which is a week from Saturday. This will be at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll give those tickets away on the other side. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Plus, we're going to qualify another listener between now and 5:30 for a pair of tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night. When you hear that goal call, that SDFC goal call from Adrian Garcia Marquez, call 877-767-4760 for a chance to qualify to win those tickets. We'll announce the winner coming up at 5:30. Plus, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network will join us at 5 p.m. right here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. We remind you this month they've got this Monday Night Live promotion going on where you can go home with a Ford Mustang Mach-E. You've got a chance to win each and every day. In fact, you can earn entries all month long just by playing. And on Tuesdays, you can earn 2 times the entries.
Yeah, join them for Sunset Trivia every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and compete for prizes at your favorite casino. Plus, enjoy 50% off classic sushi, nigiri, hand rolls, and any of their featured ramen bowls every Tuesday through Thursday, now through May 23rd. Exclusions do apply.
Obviously, with baseball season here and hockey and basketball playoffs, it's a great time to get out there and experience it all at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. They've got great food as well. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, where fandom meets fantastic. It's all available for you at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Cynthia Freeland will join us coming up at 5 p.m. We'll talk about the NFL schedule release that came out yesterday. So Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, will join us. Also this weekend, San Diego Sports 760 has live coverage of the PGA Championship, rounds 3 and 4, beginning at 11 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. I got something for you. And we'll give away, by the way, in the next 10 minutes, these tickets to Simple Minds at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater.
What do you got?
Here's what I have for you.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking,
No.
do you want more? Do you want more?
Maybe.
Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. Because according to the head of ESPN, Jimmy Pitaro, ESPN is very open to Stephen A. Smith joining its NFL coverage.
Oh my gosh.
So if you are getting tired of Stephen A. Smith everywhere, and he truly is everywhere, sports commentary, political commentary, and everywhere in between, the countdown to NBA, whatever he's on. What about Stephen A. Smith on ESPN's NFL coverage? And remember, ESPN has the Super Bowl coming up in 2027.
I would say
Well, that's well said.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's what I would say to that.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to sound like too when he's doing NFL. Is he just going to bitch about the Cowboys all the time like he does on his own show?
Probably.
And that's what it is?
And just laugh about it.
I would, with the NFL, it's like you have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. You got your Monday night thing.
Elite crew.
It's worked out a lot better than it had previously in the past. They've gotten some better games over the last year or two. Not Sunday Night Football, but better than what they used to have over at ESPN. Just do what you're doing. You don't have to force it to us. It's the NFL. They're coming. People are coming to the televisions to watch. You don't need to force feed Stephen A. Smith in front of us every single opportunity, right?
So they got Scott Van Pelt. They got Ryan Clark. They got
on
Jason.
that set.
Yeah, they got Jason Kelsey. They got who else? Like Hasselback, I think.
I don't even know.
But anyway,
yeah.
You don't need Stephen A. Smith everywhere, guys. Like, stop. You already have enough to get you through the NFL season. Like, there wasn't one moment in the last, 20 years where I'm watching Monday Night Football and then I'm watching it on ESPN. I'm like, you know what this broadcast needs? Stephen A. Smith.
Right. Didn't they try this? With who was in the booth in Monday Night Football like 25 years ago?
Dennis Miller.
Yeah, like, guys, just stick to football.
And then Tony Kornheiser was in the booth, and you're like,
oh yeah, they've had some bad crews.
Just let it be. You don't need Stephen A. Smith everywhere. Stop.
Right.
It's done. Like First Take, NBA, that's his bread and butter. Mm-hmm. Now they put him on everything because he's paid it's insane how much he's getting paid. So they have to make sure that they maximize their Stephen A. Smith, where they have him on literally everything. Anytime there's a breaking news story, it's like, hey, what does Stephen A. Smith think?
What does he think about Ovechkin?
Probably.
And then it ties into LeBron.
Yeah.
It could be worse. And I probably shouldn't even say this because I'm going to speak it into existence. I'm surprised they didn't replace Corso with him on game day.
Lee Corso is Stephen A. Smith.
Well, because he retired, so they're gonna replace him with somebody, and they want to throw him in, like you said, at any spot they can.
One of the first replies to this tweet about Stephen A. Smith potentially joining the ESPN NFL coverage is from someone that says, "I speak for literally everybody when I say we do not want or need this." I mean, that basically is a good summary for that idea. I don't really understand. I mean, there must be something that says when Stephen A. Smith is on television, people talk about him. That must be the case, right? I mean, there must be some Q factor for him. I mean, I'm talking about him right now. So there must be something that says, hey, when Stephen A. Smith is on TV, it's good for our business. When Pat McAfee's on TV, it's good for our business, right?
I saw this tweet today from Kevin Durant.
Okay. What's he have to say?
And I liked it.
Okay.
Because he was responding to Emmanuel Acho, who is... I can't stand Emmanuel Acho, man. Every time he speaks, it has to be this perfectly crafted take that just sounds so inauthentic. And he's doing it for the flair. Like he's doing it for the shock factor. Mm-hmm. Like there's got to be a take of everything. It's like, dude, shut up. You shut up.
Okay.
So Emmanuel Acho 7 hours ago, he said, the Celtics matchup is better against the Knicks without Jason Tatum than they do with him.
Wait, what?
Give me 2 minutes to show you something you may have missed, and I'll convince you exactly why. And then he goes into this whole thing.
Just stop.
Just like
what are the replies? Like,
you know what Emmanuel Acho sounds like, and he loves hearing his own voice. Kevin Durant replied. He said, hot take artists have ruined the sport. Football guys, no disrespect, but y'all boys need to stay in your lanes. You don't know what it's like in between these lines. Man, give it a break. Dudes who quit football early to pursue media talking mental toughness, cut it out.
Yeah, that's a good tweet.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's a good reaction.
And that can go for a lot.
But to your point, like how dumb is the idea that the Celtics match up better with the Knicks without Jason Tatum? Like, how much dumber can you get than that?
It's shock value. It's a hot take.
The Dodgers are going to be better against the Padres without Ohtani because it's going to get into the Padres' heads that now they're going to win the series. That's that's a dumb take.
Yeah.
Now that I'm making up, Ohtani's not going to play in the NLDS, but this favors the Dodgers because the Padres are looking past them.
No,
you're better with Ohtani.
I just keep it real, bro. The Knicks last night didn't play good. The Celtics played good.
Need to play good.
And Derek White had a great game. And the Celtics, even without Jason Tatum, they're tough to beat at home. But guess what? They're not winning a title without Jason Tatum.
Nowhere close.
So stop it.
They're not winning this series.
He got told by a producer, hey, let's make this hot take like a shock factor here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you take this side,
yeah.
This other person will take this side, whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And so he decided to do some crazy hot take that is trying to diminish Jason Tatum. Like, shut up.
My favorite is when like a Stephen A. Smith or like goes on ESPN and they go on this like full tangent and then it's like immediately fact checked. Like, wait, what? Like, why did you say that like Patrick Mahomes' best years were with Baltimore? Like, what are you talking about? Like when they get the sport. Stephen A. would be good like with baseball. Like he'll just be like completely off the mark. Like, what are you talking about?
Because he has no baseball.
Like you don't know. And that's also the issue with Stephen A. Smith, I would say, with football. Because he talks about the Dallas Cowboys as if he knows something, right? Jerry and Dak. But that's all he'll talk.
He's really good with the NBA.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And
it's basically
that's it. Yeah. But oh man, what was I gonna say? It was I completely forgot what I was going to say.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Did you agree with that?
That you forgot what you're going to say.
That's the worst feeling ever.
Not really.
No,
it sucks because when
in
you
our
think
business,
you have a point to make, and then you're like, just kidding.
Like I thought I was about to make some good point, and I totally forgot it.
Trust me, it wasn't going to be that.
I know it was probably going to be just some awful.
Was it going to be profound and like
no, it was
career altering?
I don't know what I was going to say.
I will leave it with this on Stephen A. Smith. How this happened is amazing. Because I remember like 20 years ago where Stephen A. Smith was nowhere near the media personality that he has become. And I really have no idea how this happened. Like, what did I miss? What occurred in the history of mankind to put him on this pedestal?
I don't know.
Where the center of the sports universe rotates around what he says.
I have no idea.
Don't you remember when Stephen A. Smith was not Stephen A. Smith?
Oh, I absolutely.
Right? And he had like a late night show or he had all these weird, bad shows over the years.
When I worked in Madison and I had to do the morning show, we started at 5 a.m. He was our lead-in on Fox Sports at like 4 a.m. He had like the 1 a.m. to like, he had the Tony Bruno shift pretty much. He had like the 1 a.m. to like 5.
It's because what Stephen A. Smith does is he screams and he yells. And because people scream and yell, for some reason, it draws ratings. Like people like confrontation. People like, people screaming at each other. I know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
To your point about like the fact checking stuff, like live, like in real time.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Dan Orlowski was talking to Shannon Sharp? So they were on First Take and Dan was talking with Shannon Sharp and Shannon Sharp goes, when's the last time a wide receiver that had the most receiving yards and won the Triple Crown as a wide receiver made the postseason? And he goes, your brother. And the whole thing was predicated on Shannon Sharp, like talking down about Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, saying that like they're not good and their stats aren't good and like basically trying to discredit their season, saying like, that's not a winning player.
Mhm.
And he's like, well,
your brother did it.
Your brother did it. He's like, whoa, what?
I can
And
completely see that play out.
caught Shannon Sharp off guard and completely put him in his place, because it proved that all guys like Shannon Sharp on First Take and Stephen A. Smith, all they do is they scream and yell for shock value.
Yeah, even if it's not.
And a lot of times it's not true. And we deal with that every single day with like everything now.
Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network on the schedule release. Plus, we'll qualify another listener for those SDFC tickets for Saturday. It's Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update's brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Padres, they have an off day today, coming off a series win against the Angels as they beat the Angels last night 5-1. Next up, they take on the Mariners for a 3-game series starting tomorrow night. The Vetter Cup at Petco Park. SDFC shutting out Colorado last night 2-0. Next up, they face Kansas City this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. here at Snapdragon Stadium. And looking at the PGA Championship leaderboard, right now we have a new leader, John. Jonathan Vegas, he is at 7 under par. And Ryan Gerald, he is at a 5 under par. And Cam Davis, he's also at 5 under par as well. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be. Next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart, stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to Real Unlimited Data. It's quick and convenient and won't even take up room in your car.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We will talk about the PGA Championship with Ryan Harrington at 5:30, but awesome to reconnect with Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network, friend of the show. Back with us here, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. And Cynthia, we appreciate you taking time for us. I'm going to start by putting you on the spot, kind of.
Uh-oh.
All right, here's my question. I'll give you 2 games, but you're only watching one NFL game, but I'll give you a consolation game. But what's your first game you have to watch in the regular season? You can choose a second game too, but one game above all games in the regular season next year now that the schedule is out.
I mean, I until it's not a thing, it's a thing. Is there a better matchup than the Bills and the Chiefs, especially at the last high mark, the farewell tour to high mark? We get Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. It's 5-4, the all-time series between the two. The Bills always win it in the regular season. We see the Chiefs win it in the postseason. It's week 9, which means that O-line should be remade. I just feel like great quarterback play never gets old.
Yeah, there's some marquee matchups, and Thanksgiving Chiefs and Cowboys we talked about it. Like that's probably going to be the most watched regular season game maybe in the history of the NFL. Would you agree with that?
I mean, it certainly seems like, it depends on how bad the Cowboys are.
True, yeah. But it is the Cowboys, it's Thanksgiving. I mean, last year they weren't good. They still drew some massive numbers. So.
I know. The Cowboys fans are really faithful, amazing fans, and they stay really true to their team. But I don't know. Like, I hope they're at least a little more interesting. I don't know. That was not a lovely thing to watch last year. So this year, hopefully they'll be a little better.
Yeah, that's what the NFL is hoping for, is the Cowboys are actually good, and obviously the Chiefs be good as well. Of all these schedule release videos, Cynthia, do you have a favorite?
I mean, I have to say, like, the Jags with that guy, like, through he's like getting ready guy. I mean, good God, that guy is such a lunatic. And I wonder if he kind of realizes they're poking fun at him. I kind of hope that he's like he's in on the joke, but either way, I was like, oh wow, that's a really good one. That was really funny.
There were a lot of really good ones, and there always are, and the teams have really done a remarkable job at that.
Oh yeah.
Which will actually bring me to my next question, because one of the things that has made the Chargers stand out since moving is their social media team. They've caught some other flack here locally, but their social media team has done a really good job.
So great.
Are we possibly at a point where, and maybe this is a dumb question, so tell me if it's dumb. Are we at a point where the Chargers can vie for that division or not?
It's a dumb question.
No, it's definitely not a dumb question. To me, their schedule is the easiest in all the AFC West. I think that it's never easy it's never going to be easy when Patrick Mahomes is in your division, and it's never going to be easy when all of a sudden the Broncos. You have to, whether you love Sean Payton or not, you have to give him credit for figuring out the puzzle piece that was rookie Bo Nix last year to make the playoffs. Like, it's not an easy division. And I think though that schedule wise, they really did win in terms of, what could have possibly happened. I think the Chargers have the best schedule kind of that they could have.
Speaking of strength of schedules, we were talking about this earlier today, Cynthia. The 49ers have the, on paper, easiest strength of schedule. They're going through changes, but they still have like their core coming back. If they have a healthy Christian McCaffrey, a healthy Trent Williams, we'll see what these draft picks turn into. But are you on the side of like 10 wins minimum for this team next year? If that doesn't happen, something went wrong.
Well, if that doesn't happen, it means Christian McCaffrey didn't come back,
right.
Or something where you're really missing like a big part of what makes this team like the core of the team. So I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking, just the fact you play the entire NFC South, you play the entire AFC South. If the NFC West in general isn't really, really strong, then there's going to be like heads will roll. That's the first thing. The second thing that I'm looking at when it comes to all these teams is like the three unique people that they get to play. They get the Browns where the Rams have to do the Ravens. They get, the Bears, which maybe the Bears will be better, but I'd rather play them than the Lions. And, it's like, it's just such a more favorable, and then they get the Giants compared to the Eagles. Like, come on now. So if they don't win at least 10, again, it probably means Christian McCaffrey was not available.
Right.
Something happened there.
Yeah, exactly. They should win 17 with that schedule.
Stop. Don't.
Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. More likely, in your opinion, Cynthia, with the Commanders, step forward or step backward?
Can we go with both? Let's start with the step backwards and then we take a step forwards. I think a lot of times you have to remember with second season quarterbacks and second season kind of situations with that entire play calling situation, people now will have their defense keyed in on exactly what Jaden Daniels does so well. So if you're looking at kind of, I'm not saying like, look, what happened with CJ Stroud, there's more to it. I think he'll take a step forward this season. I think there was something weird with Bobby Slowick. He's now gone, et cetera. But I still think when it comes to getting used to the NFL, when teams and good defenses, and the Eagles are a good defense in their own division, just as one, the Cowboys have some nasty pass rushers, et cetera. When they're now keying in on you, it takes a minute to kind of readjust to what you're being asked to do. So while I don't think it's going to be like, I think he's great and I think we're going to see him continue to grow, I think we need to calm down if week 1 or week 2 doesn't look super awesome and then like regroup after letting him get reused to how the NFL works. Because again, he didn't see last year teams with defensive plans that were really respecting the things he could do because to be fair, no one knew what he could do necessarily.
How surprised were you with the fall of Shedeur Sanders in the draft?
It was interesting because being there in Green Bay and being kind of a part of the action, you didn't feel it in the same way as the TV. I think a lot of what happened was, the draft is a long thing, and when you're watching on TV, it's just different. I think, I would imagine some of the teams that would have been more in the running for him had they believed he would be available. Like perhaps the Giants would have thought it through differently. And if they didn't think he would already, they wanted Jackson Dart. Okay, we're going to trade back up for this because they probably thought, well, unless we could get X, Y, or Z, we're not going to get Shedeur. So I just think, you have to remember that there's this part about humans where if you're going to potentially, if you need a quarterback, it's probably not the case that your team is very strong. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting there being like, hey, like, all right, if the Giants who have a nightmare of a schedule, if I am the Giants, do I want to have Dion there who is a proven coach that could take my job? Or do I want to, try to work it out with a guy who maybe would be easier for me to teach and coach, considering, Shedeur he's only really had one coach his whole kind of experiment with football. So it didn't feel as crazy in person, but, I saw all the stuff from people with like wildly hot takes on it.
Right,
so I'm aware that was going on, but it didn't feel that like, it felt more like, all right, like kind of, business decision. Like it didn't feel as crazy if you didn't have people kind of hyping you up and turning it into a narrative.
do you think it's a good spot for him? I know it's the Browns, but do you think it's a good landing spot for Shedeur?
Yes and no. Their O-line needs help, and it's not like Shedeur is used to having a good O-line. Like, let's put it that way. But I still think no one, no matter who you are in college, it really helps if you have a decent O-line at the next level. And I don't know what kind of, how are they going to do this rotation? I don't know if I think, sometimes that quarterback room is weird.
Yeah. Very weird.
Very different styles of players. Like, I don't know it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds, but I think he'll get I think Shedeur, he will get some sort of chance if it's not necessarily week one, whatever, but I don't think we have heard the end of this story. I think this story has a different ending than, he gets onto the team and no 5th round pick is guaranteed to make the team. We know that. And then he doesn't make the team. I just don't think that's what happens. I think we see there's more drama to come. I'm just not entirely sure how it all plays out.
There's no doubt. Cynthia Freeland with the NFL Network with us right now on Jon and Jim. Speaking of the draft, I think we had you on before, but we didn't have you on afterwards. Is there a team or two that you think had a particularly good draft overall?
I mean, I thought that the Seahawks really changed a lot about their future in smart ways. I think they complemented Sam Darnold really well between free agency and adding in the draft. Maybe that's not sexy, but I thought they did a really nice job. And especially you're playing in the West, like that's not an easy division. I mean, I told you the schedule is easy, but it doesn't mean that the other teams in your own division are easy. I also thought, when some of it's about how these people turn out. Like, to me, everyone was mad at the Falcons again. And I'm like, well, if James Pierce Jr. turns out to be a good pass rusher, then maybe it was worth giving up a lot for. I don't know, right? Like, the trade-off has to be like who they become. And I thought that could have been very good. And, I kind of always, some people didn't think it was a good pick, but I thought the Broncos getting a really great corner made the Broncos better too. I mean, you already have the defensive player of the year, and now you're adding to one of the nastiest, if not the nastiest defense. Like, I thought that was good. I also thought the Bills had a nice draft. So, I mean, a lot of things were nice. We'll have to see who, this is a weird draft class. I could even say the Cowboys had a nice draft, but I don't know. It all depends on, at this point, like, now what's the opportunity moving forward? We'll see. We'll see how these linemen work out.
Yeah. And on the flip side, what teams maybe left scratching your head here, like not understanding what they might be doing? I'm not saying like give grades or whatever, but like just from a positional standpoint and drafting guys that maybe they didn't really need or position out of need. Like, what teams left you're scratching your head?
I thought the Lions, my hometown team, I thought that was a bit of a reach in round one. I know there weren't a lot of, like, the way you feel about defensive tackles can be what it is, but sometimes I'm like, is it just because you guys like aren't used to drafting this late? Like, usually you're picking number like 3 overall, like whatever. So that was a little odd to me. I also thought I was a little like confused with some of the pick, not necessarily the Packers' first pick. Okay, they, first time they've had a wide receiver since 2003, but if you're really having issues with potentially bringing back your star corner, maybe that's something you look to shore up with because Jair Alexander, it doesn't feel like he's in a great. I don't know. So I mean, they obviously know more than me, but I just was like, all right, well, are you getting something nice to have or something that you need to have?
I like to get things that are nice to have, truthfully.
Yeah, well, that's different between
So does my 6-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, you really need it.
When your 6-year-old's not running the job.
Right?
Yeah, he's got like 700 Matchbox cars. Do we really need more? Maybe we should get a Hot Wheels, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, and maybe the Lions should be doing that.
Probably.
Yeah. Cynthia, we always appreciate your time. Hope you have a great spring and summer, and we look forward to catching up again soon, all right?
Yeah, I think we've got 112 days until the season starts.
But who's counting? Who's counting?
112. Right? I love that. And it'll be here before we know it.
I had to leave you with a number. I couldn't come on here and not have some big wowing number for you.
That's a good number.
That's a
Cowboys,
great number.
Eagles, then Chiefs, Chargers, then week 1.
There we go.
We're pumped. Thanks,
Okay.
Cynthia.
Have a great one, guys.
Great stuff from Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network. We Can React. Plus, Ryan Harrington, Golf Digest, will join us in about 10 or so minutes. Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. If you miss Ryan Harrington Golf Digest, you'll hear him coming up at 5:30. PGA Championship underway. Have we qualified a final listener for the STFC tickets? We have one more listener to qualify.
One more, so keep
you're gonna
listening.
Hear a goal sounder in the next 10 minutes. You're going to call 877-767-4760, and then you are going to be qualified to win those tickets. We'll announce the winner. There's going to be 4 qualifiers. One of you will win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday.
Yep. So stay tuned for that. We got about 40 minutes left in our show. So 40 minutes of you having to listen to us to wait for that sounder.
Mark Ziegler's published an article within the last 5 minutes on Miles Bird.
Okay.
And Dave Velasquez, the Aztec assistant that has joined us so many times over the years, was in Chicago for these scrimmages the last 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And Velasquez is quoted as saying, it's a win-win either way. It's great for our program to add another player to the NBA, another guy who has waited his turn at San Diego State and was a redshirt and is now given the opportunity. He says, we also know we'd be losing not just an all-conference caliber player, but an all-American type player. And Mark writes that it would likely take a guaranteed deal for Bird to go. The 30 first-round picks are guaranteed deals. You can get a guaranteed deal in the second round, but there are also contracts called two-way contracts. And it would likely take more than a two-way contract to keep Miles Bird. Two-way contracts pay up to $636,000, but they're not guaranteed. So now we wait to see, can Bird get that guaranteed deal? Could he go late first? Could he go early second? Can he improve his stock by coming back? And we've talked about the last 2 days. We'll have an answer, Jim, in the next 13 days on Miles Bird.
And, looking at his size and his length is what I said, like, is an NBA body.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. His measurements were a mixed bag.
Only
6'4" and 3/4 without shoes, 181 pounds after being listed as a 6'7", 190-pound player at SDSU.
I think what I was reading, though, this week on that is it's pretty typical. Like Dylan Harper, Rutgers, number 2 pick in the draft. They list him at 6'10". Mm-hmm. He came in at under 6'7".
Well, put some shoes on, and
that's the thing.
Because gain another inch and a half.
Exactly. So when you say someone's 6'7" and they're 6'5" without shoes, they are kind of 6'6.5".
Right.
So, and Dylan Harper, who again is going to be a top pick, it was listed 3 inches taller, where Bird was more in that 2 inches taller.
Well, the one thing that does stick out is his wingspan. He's got a 6'10" wingspan.
Yeah, that's bonkers for a guard.
Yeah, come on.
So, right, he's longer than his height. He's super athletic. You keep saying it, and you're spot on. His game's going to translate really well to the NBA. Mark talked about in this article, he's been watching a third-year player. Do you see the name in here? He's been watching a player in the NBA who he's kind of maybe like emulating or following that path. And I forget the name of the player. Dyson Daniels, third-year guard who averaged 14.6 rebounds, 4 assists, a league-high 3 steals per game for the Atlanta Hawks this season.
Okay.
So, he's going to be a do-it-all guy. He will. He'll score. He'll have steals. He'll have blocks. So I'm fascinated to see where it lands, and we'll find out soon enough.
The one thing that you can't teach is body, and he has the NBA body with his wingspan, his height, like his length, like that. That is an NBA body, and you can mold that. Now, what he's going to have to do is get better at his shooting, because if he's going to be looked at as a 3-and-D guy, he's got to hit threes in the NBA, or he's got to have a jumper.
Yeah, and he did it during these scrimmages, and he was quoted, I think, post-game. He mentioned it on the scrimmager on ESPN Plus, saying, like, I'm a really good shooter, and he is. I mean, he showed it in the first half last year. He tailed off in the second half, but I think his potential as a shooting guard is a really good one. All right, on the other side, if you missed it, Ryan Harrington Golf Digest on day 1 at Quail Hollow in the PGA Championship. That's next. Be listening for the sounder. We'll have the winner coming up for you as well. Stay with us, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the radio app.
Chucky Irving, Chucky Lozano went chuk, boom.
All right, this update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres, they have an off day today, coming off a series win against the Angels as they beat them last night 5-1. Next up, they have a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners, the start of the Vetter Cup tomorrow night at Petco Park. SDFC, they shut out Colorado last night 2-0. Next up for them, quick turnaround. They take on Kansas City Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. 7:30 is kickoff there. And looking at the leaderboard at the PGA Championship right now, sitting atop of the leaderboard is Jonathan Vegas. He's at 7 under par. Then we have Ryan Gerard. He's at 5 under par, and Cam Davis also at 5 under par. Don't postpone better sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale now. Upgrade to a premium bed from a curated selection and take your rest to the next level. Don't miss out. Visit Mattress Firm today. Get matched at sleep at night. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. We'll hear from Ryan Harrington coming up in a moment. Back page at 5:45. But first, we have a winner for the SDFC tickets for Saturday night against Kansas City. Brett, can I get a drum roll, please? Edwin, congratulations. You are going to SDFC versus Kansas City Saturday night Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff time there. So congratulations to Edwin. All right, Ryan Harrington, Golf Digest. He joined us earlier in the day. The PGA Championship is underway. And we asked Ryan, so far, what's up with all the top names struggling in the first round?
No, not at all. Although that said, the 16th hole is the start of what they call the Green Mile at Quail Hollow, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, which is a notoriously difficult finishing stretch. This golf course is the one that hosts the PGA Tour event every year, and those 3 holes annually are among the toughest on tour. But to see the top 3 players in the world all make a couple bogeys on them, that was definitely a surprise for many.
What do you make of the top of the leaderboard? A lot of names here that maybe to some, casual golf fans are unrecognizable. What do you make of the top of the leaderboard here at the PGA Championship on day one?
Yeah, it blows me away, quite frankly, because obviously all the talk coming into this week was about a Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, all the big name players, all playing playing their way into great form coming into this event, and all actually having some success at this golf course in the past. So you presumed obviously that it was going to be the marquee players who were going to be the ones on the leaderboard after day one, and lo and behold, like you said, I mean, these are a bunch of journeymen, kind of some no names and whatnot in the lead, and kind of I'm really surprised, particularly even given the fact that there was so much rain earlier this week. This golf course is playing extra long, and that would seemingly go, like I said, right into the hands of a Rory or a Bryson or whatnot. And so I can't really make it out. Luke Donald, he's 2 off the lead right now. This is a guy who hasn't played more in a major in a few years. He only hit 9 fairways, 9 greens, and yet he was able to shoot a 67. So kind of a crazy day out there, and I'm not sure what to make of it, quite frankly.
We touched on it, and Ryan Harrington, managing editor of Golf Digest, with us right now. We touched on Scotty Scheffler, who had that double bogey on the 16th, and I think he started on the back 9, but he recovered nicely for the day. He finishes 2 under with the 69. So, yeah, he's a handful of shots off the pace right now, but do you feel as if he's well-positioned considering how it started?
Yeah, all things considered, I mean, he was the bright spot of that super group that went out there. He was able to figure out how to get it back around. And like you said, 2 under par for his round, only 4 off the lead right now. I think he's in prime position to make a statement here and come back out and contend. And that said, Rory McIlroy, I think he's 3 over par. Not the round he was expecting, but has such a great track record at this golf course. He did it at the Masters where he had the horrible finish to that first round and was able to figure out, how to get around that and get himself back into contention. So I don't even take him out of the mix, but it's going to require obviously some pretty stronger play in the next few days. And so, I think we're going to see a regression to the mean. I think we're going to see those top players back in form the next few days. But the question is going to be, have they played themselves too far back to be able to catch up?
And you mentioned the rain. It was raining, all last week and leading up to the tournament here mentioning how the course is playing longer. How is it affecting like the top players like Scotty when you get some mud balls there in the fairway?
Well, the mud balls have been something a lot of the players have talked about coming off the course today. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele both mentioned the fact that was probably the explanation for their balls in the water on the 16th hole and causing those double bogeys. And, it's interesting. There was a lot of conversation ahead of today on whether the PGA of America would decide to play the ball lift, clean, in place. So, as to let players, clean their balls if they were in the fairways and try to avoid some of those situations. It's a major championship, and traditionally you do not play the ball lift, clean, in place. You play it as it lies, just like golf's supposed to be played. Yep. And the PGA of America was roundly criticized for playing lift, clean, in place for the final round of their championship in 2016. Haven't done it since. So they boldly came out last night, or boldly only in that the statement kind of was defiantly saying we are not going to play it lift, clean, in place. We're going to play it down. And a lot of players have come out and said that they don't like that idea. A PGA Tour event, if this was a PGA Tour event and just a regular PGA Tour week, they definitely would have played lift, clean, in place today. They probably would do it tomorrow to avoid those situations. And so the players have to adjust, and some aren't appreciating the fact that they've got to do that, I think.
Good insight from Ryan Harrington, Golf Digest, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So it's been how long since Spieth has been trying to complete the Grand Slam at the PGA Championship? Close to a decade, maybe? This is
his 8th try. When Rory went ahead and finished it, it was his 11th try, and nobody had ever completed the Grand Slam after more than 3 before. So, the fact that Rory did it after 11 was kind of a historic marker there. And so, when you had to count, when you came back to Spieth here 8 times, that's a lot so far. I mean, obviously he was very young when he was able to get those first 3 here, and it's been a while since he performed that well in a major championship. But the conversation was a renewed one this week, given the fact, obviously, that Rory had accomplished it just last month.
And he hasn't really gotten close in his previous tries, right? I think he's got 1 top 10 in the PGA Championship over those years. Right now, he's 3 shots over par for his round. So that's going to be a concern. I mean, he apparently won't have an opportunity this week based on that start, but it's kind of interesting how his career has played out over the last 10 years after the start.
Yeah, I mean, he had such a tremendous 2015 season. He won the first 2 majors of the year, almost was in a playoff for the Open Championship that year, finished, I think, second at the PGA that year. And so he has this benchmark that he has to play himself against that's going to be almost difficult for him ever to pass. And so trying to compare himself to that player that he once was is pretty difficult. But to your point, in the PGA Championship, he struggled the last 2 years. And I don't know if that's a combination of just his game hasn't been quite as sharp as it ordinarily was, or as it had been in the past, or frankly, the pressure has kind of mounted. Obviously, I think there was an issue of pressure on Rory McIlroy going into the Masters. And you've got to think that now, with Spieth being kind of the next up on deck with this kind of a thing, that's going to be the case for him too. And the question is going to be, will he ever be able to break through that? And, I don't think his game was in such great shape this week to go, oh yeah, he's a clear favorite coming into this tournament. So I'm not necessarily surprised that this wasn't going to be the week he was going to accomplish it. But I think, like I said, the spotlight's now kind of back on him, so to speak, for this accomplishment. And it's now going to be a question, obviously, he faces every year when he comes to this championship.
What are some of the Ryder Cup implications this weekend at the PGA Championship?
Well, the points for this tournament for both the American points list and the European points list are significant. They're higher than at any regular PGA Tour event, so to speak, or any DP World Tour event. So the winner here is going to accrue a lot of points. The top 10 finish is going to do a lot. And so I think it's going to do a lot in terms of rejiggering the order and particularly on both sides of the pond for live golfers. Live golfers can't earn points on the live tour. They're not playing in PGA Tour events. They're not playing in DP World Tour events. There are not very many DP World Tour events. So this is one of the few opportunities where they can accumulate points. And a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, he's inside the top 6 on the American point list. But he's got to do well in a week like this to keep those points up, because he's not going to earn any more at a regular PGA Tour events. And so it's a big deal for him. Brooks Koepka, who was invited to Keegan Bradley's party for Ryder Cup hopefuls last week, here's a guy who's way out of the points list and he didn't play well today at all. And so he's not going to be able to qualify. He's going to have to earn a captain's pick. And so it's a big deal for the live guys in particular. Same, like I said, on the European side, John Rahm, Sergio Garcia, Tyrrell Hatton. If they want to somehow make the team on points, they've got to play well in these major championships.
Ryan, why has there been so much criticism of this course? I saw Justin Thomas was critical. There are others that have been critical. Why has Quail Hollow been criticized for hosting a major championship?
Yeah, I think part of the reason is that this is a place that the tour comes to every year, and so there's a familiarity with it that makes it almost ordinary, for lack of a better term. This is a regular PGA Tour stop. So the impact of it being then at a major championship, you heard a few players going into the week going, the atmosphere here just isn't all that different. They don't feel like it's a major, so to speak. And I think from a course standpoint, there's definitely some people who contend it's almost too long a golf course, that there's only one way to play it. You hit your driver on every tee box and you hit it as far as you can. And there's not a lot of strategy, so to speak, in terms of how you play the golf course. You just have to bomb away. And I do think that that's something that, some of the guys here, think at a major championship, at least, there needs to be something more. There needs to be an intangible there that allows it to be something more than just a bomber's paradise. Now, like I said, today, there's actually a few of these guys on the leaderboard who you don't consider bombers, who were able to obviously make their way around the golf course. I think you've got to be accurate on a golf course like this week because of how long it is. If you're not in the fairway, it doesn't matter how far you hit it. You're going to be in some juicy rough, and it's going to be hard to play out of. And so the premium on distance is huge, but the premium on accuracy might be even bigger. And we'll see if that plays out this week or not. But I think that's where much of the criticism comes from.
Ryan, real quick before you go, because we've seen Torrey host multiple U.S. Opens, but the U.S. Open is booked through 2042. Will Torrey ever host another U.S. Open? And if it doesn't, would it consider getting into the PGA Championship possibilities?
Well, that's definitely what's happened to a few different golf courses. They've seen, like you said, the window of opportunities kind of shut on them in terms of the USGA. And I'm thinking of the Olympic Club up in San Francisco for you guys, because that's what's happening here. They got shut out of U.S. Open dates, and so they're going to be hosting the PGA Championship in a few years. And so I do think that's something that if Torrey really values and wants to get back onto the major championship road, the opportunities might be better if they do align themselves with the PGA Championship. And I think the PGA is very open to West Coast venues, given obviously the ability to show these events in prime time when they do that. So, it's a catch-22 for the USGA. They like to lock into these events now, or lock their events in terms of these venues, because they know then they've got a consistent rota. They can build infrastructure that allows them to host championships there and actually do it at a cost savings. But it also comes at the expense of going to a variety of different golf courses. And unfortunately, I think Torrey Pines kind of just gets lost in the mix because of that.
Great insight, Ryan. We appreciate you taking time for us. Enjoy this weekend watching the PGA Championship, and we'll do it again later on this summer.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, so there was Ryan Harrington there of Golf Digest. It is a interesting looking leaderboard at the PGA Championship. Not the big names like we saw at the Masters, which was electric just a month ago, but there's still time. It's only one round, and guys could make a push here starting tomorrow. All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up the show. We also have my back page as well. You're listening to Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Jon ditched us. He's like, I have to go to this like speaking event all the way up in Escondido. Okay, it's great. But yeah, Jon ditched us. Me and Brent holding down the fort for a couple more moments here up until 6 o'clock. We didn't get to talk about this yesterday, Brent, because obviously Jon's in the room, and when Jon's in the room, we can't talk about these things. But the Superman trailer was released yesterday, the official Superman trailer. I'm interested to get your thoughts on it because I have some thoughts of my own.
I liked it a lot. I thought the little interaction between Lois and Clark when they're doing the interview with like the music swell and everything and the tension, I thought that was pretty good. I like where we got a little bit of like what we can kind of piece together what we think the plots of the movie is going to be, which we didn't get. And the previous teaser trailer had like the only lines of dialogue was the crypto home line, and that was it. So at least we got some dialogue. We got to hear Lex talk this time. So yeah, I liked it.
I'll be honest with you. It took me about 3 times watching it to like fully get into it. I don't know why, but on the first viewing of it, I wasn't like blown away.
That's why I was on the first one, the first trailer.
I needed a couple times to watch it to get fully into it. When I first watched it, I was like, okay. It didn't make me feel how I wanted it to make me feel. But by like the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, I was like, okay, this will be pretty cool.
The first trailer, I was kind of iffy about the electric guitar Superman theme. And then the second trailer, the theme was more, it still wasn't the straight up John Williams, but it was more similar to the old John Williams theme. So I like that a lot.
I'm just used to like the Zack Snyder Superman because I thought Man of Steel was I love Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, I liked Cavill.
Now I didn't like Batman versus Superman, but I liked Henry Cavill a lot as Superman in the Zack Snyder Justice League film. That was actually like a really good film, I thought, even though it was 4 hours long.
Well, B versus S is good too, but you got to watch the director's cut.
Yeah, you have to watch like the director's cut of all the Zack Snyder stuff, and if you do, then it's actually like really freaking good.
And it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's really good. It's going to be hard to top that, but James Gunn will try that with Superman here. So yeah, I liked it after like 3 or 4 times. You liked it on the first viewing, and that comes out when? A couple months from now? Like
July 11th.
July 11th. All right, July 11th for Superman. All right, Brent.
Technically the 10th. I'll be there on the 10th.
Right. They always, yeah, July 11th, but it gets released like that Thursday. All right, let's get to it, Brent. Did you know that your dog can legally be your official wedding witness for your wedding?
No.
In certain places. In certain U.S. states, marriage laws are flexible enough to allow pets to serve as a witness. That means your dog can even leave a paw print on the marriage license, making them an official part of your special day. States like Colorado, which do not require human witnesses, embrace this unique practice. Me and Aaron were talking about this for our wedding. We wanted Bentley to be our official witness, but that never happened. We had our parents here. And
this just sounds like people that got married that don't have any friends. There's like, hey, we need a witness.
Well, also,
can our dog do it?
It also,
Sure.
I think, shows just how dogs have become like people's children. Like dogs are, dogs are a huge part of people's lives, including mine. So like, I remember talking to Aaron about this. And we were thinking about it, but then it's like, no. So Bentley was at our, like when we got married, we didn't get officially married at our wedding venue. We got married beforehand at a courthouse. Bentley was there, but he never became our official witness because we had our parents there. So,
what John doesn't know is that Bentley was this close to doing the wedding himself, but then they picked John.
I know it was between Bentley and John. And the reason why we chose John is because he could actually form sentences. And that's why we didn't pick Bentley. So you're lucky, John. Jamul Casino. We love Jamul Casino.
Yes.
Yesterday, Hamul Casino, a guest, won a huge jackpot. Listen to this. A side bet turned into a life-changing amount of money at Hamul Casino. The resort announced on Wednesday. This person, who remains anonymous, that's their wishes, on a $5 side bet, he hit a diamond royal flush while playing blackjack with the Super 4 pay side bets. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what any of that means.
But
either.
okay. The dealer had an ace and a king of diamonds, while the guest held a jack and queen of diamonds when the winning combination occurred. Without the side bet, though, it would have been a losing hand in blackjack for the guest. This guest, on a $5 side bet, won $190,000. That's like my dream. Going to a casino and going to a blackjack table and looking for like the $5 blackjack tables and then just putting out a $5 bet with maybe a side bet and some whatever, it is there, and hitting big. Like, woo, $190,000. Okay. So, yeah, Hamul Casino, go there, play some blackjack. You can win some big time money.
I used to go there and play bingo.
You did?
Yeah.
Interesting. Growing up, how big was Foot Locker to you, Brent?
Pretty big. Not as big as like I was more of a Champs guy when I grew up. I don't even know if they exist anymore, which they were owned by the same company as Foot Locker. Because I always remember if I would go to Champs and they'd be like, oh, we don't have this shoe in your size. Let me check the Foot Locker down there. And then they'd do that.
Dude, Foot Locker, like when I was a kid playing basketball growing up, like I would always go, I'm like, got to go to Foot Locker, got to get the sneakers, like Foot Locker was like the store you go to buy sneakers. I didn't realize that Foot Locker is struggling to the point where today Dick's Sporting Goods announced that they have bought Foot Locker for $2.4 billion.
Yeah, that don't. Dick's runs everything right now.
Yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods is. I mean, they got the Paul Skeens rookie card displayed in Pittsburgh.
Well, I used to always do they used to have these catalogs that I'd get like every month called East Bay.
Yep. Oh, I remember East Bay, dude.
That would be my favorite thing every month was looking at all the shoes in the new East Bay and everything. And that was how I got shoes. And East Bay was connected with Champs too. So if you didn't have something, you could do it that way. So yeah,
East Bay.
They're not around anymore either. East Bay. They went out like last year, 2 years ago.
That was before like you could just go on the internet and just like look up shoes. Yeah. And finally,
I'm old.
Yes, we are getting older. Finally, Brent, Adam Sandler says goodbye to the alligator from Happy Gilmore. The alligator named Morris, who lives in Colorado, died of old age over the week. He was in featured films like Dr. Dolittle 2, Interview with the Vampire, and Blues Brothers 2000. However, his big claim to fame was his role in Happy Gilmore. So
did they say how old it was? Because they live forever. Well, obviously not forever, but for a long time.
It just says died of old age. Now it doesn't. Oh, here we go. He was the alligator was over 80 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, 80-year-old alligator. They say he was at least 80 or 90 years old, but he may have been over 100. So they don't know exactly how old this alligator was, but they're saying 80 to 90, but possibility he was over 100. All right, that will do it for Jon and Jim. Friday's show come up tomorrow. We'll preview the Vetter Cup. Kevin Acey will also be joining us as well. Thank you, Brent. For Jon, Brent, I'm Jim. Stay right here on San Diego Sports 760 and stay listening on the iHeartRadio app. Have a great night, everybody.